I'm not ready to go yet, okay? I'm not ready. You gotta wait. I got shit to do. I'm in the middle of something, all right? Just hold on.
Watch your mouth or don't come in here.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, people, come on, we're adults here.
You know what? What is the point?
Yeah, we're adults here. I got a fucking Burger King fucking thing on my head. We're all fucking adults here, guys. People in my chat, 2 words. What are they? 2 words. Let me see the chat flood. Let me see the chat flood. 2 words. Okay, next caller. Please. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, which translate in American to dick and balls.
I got flip-flops. These are my flip-flops. Yeah, I really like my flip-flops because I can like put them on. Because look, watch me put them on. I can put them on all by myself. Watch me put them on. Look, are you watching? Look, these are my flip-flops.
Thanksgiving Day. I remember it clearly. It was Thanksgiving Day. I was inserting myself in somebody else's fucking business as a cash grab, and you know.
This channel is harsh reality.
Karen Yak se jodió la sucia vida. Amen.
This is Jonathan Lee Riches. I have cheeseburgers. I'm gonna put cheese on them. I'm gonna make sure that I have my hamburgers because I'm a big boy now and I can make the hamburgers. My mom lets me use the stove now.
And I'm just like, wow, I like receipts, and they brought receipts. Like they had evidence to back up everything they said. And I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be another side to this, right? Like this can't. No, this is too fantastic.
Yeah, because you're not going to just jump to the conclusion that there's a conspiracy amongst cops to cover up a murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, cops and just like soccer moms and shit. Like that's what made it even crazier. Like,
yeah, get it, Betty. Yeah,
did you have a close relationship with your mom?
Get it, Betty.
Oh, of course, I still do.
Yeah.
My older sister was kind of sad. She was more of the prissy girl, like going
That is
and
the
getting
best
nails
shit
done.
fucking
Shopping for the
ever.
dresses with mommy. I was the, tomboy that liked playing with.
Shout out to Cherry for just being easily the most faithful and loyal supporter that I've ever had, man. That someone could have that tenacity with loyalty. And I'm really blessed to have someone like Cherry be part of this channel and in my life. So it means a lot. And yes, I named him after Mr. T and Rocky. Say, woman. Say, woman. Say, woman. Since your old man ain't got no heart, why don't you come down to my apartment tonight and I'll show you a real man. Oh my God, I'm so in love with this little dude. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. I love you guys very, 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 very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends. Oh, say bye. Say bye. Oh, I love you too. Give me a kiss. Oh, I love you. Bye, guys. good evening, people. Again, it's great to see you guys. Thanks for being here again. Listen, man. So after today's news that on counts 1 and 3, one of them being the most important one, which is second-degree murder, that Karen Reed was charged with, it turns out that the jury voted unanimously, according to sources of the defense, with some receipts as well. And seeing as this happened on the 3rd, where they were made aware of this, and it is now what, the 7th? It kind of leads me to believe certain things, such as they vetted everything and filed a motion because they can prove that this actually happened in that deliberation room. But of course, this tends to escape everyone. I love everyone who's going, hearsay, hearsay, hearsay. We know it's fucking hearsay. Like, we know it. But the problem is so far, what has the defense claimed and has yet to prove? What have they claimed and have failed to prove so far? And every time these idiots gloat, that like the shit comes out. It happens almost like clockwork. It's fucking fantastic. It's really funny to me. It's really, really funny to me. So this is what's been happening. As soon as I finished my live stream, I watched a little bit of Young Jerks, and he had a great panel, as usual. I mean, he usually has Mark Betterow up there, and that's always great. And he had his name slips my mind at the moment, but he had a retired FBI agent up there, and basically just confirming everything that we all thought, which was that this entire thing is beyond shady, that this goes beyond just negligence in a shitty investigation. This is what looks to be like corruption. So now, and I don't expect a big crowd tonight here. We went over all the major stuff earlier, and it is later than what you guys are used to seeing me go live. It is later than that. So this is more of just we're going to explore everything that's being said in the media about this, and a couple of YouTubers, because I just find that shit fun. So since there was just a flood of this shit going on all over my YouTube feed, I was just like, okay, I'd rather share this with my chat. Honestly, it just seems like more fun. It seems like more fun. I feel like I'd enjoy it more with my chat. So that's what we're doing here a second time. There's no like there's I saw people in the chat going, what's going on? Like before I went live, and there's nothing really going on, just what's to be expected happening. Even though we expected, it's still kind of like, wow, really? So we're just gonna go over a few of these things, man. What's up, Paul Cristoforo? And big shout out to Paul Cristoforo, him and all of the free Karen readers, as that Rollins dipshit from Court TV put it earlier. So big shout out to Paul Cristoforo and all of those standing out in protest of Michael Proctor's employment with the Massachusetts State Police today. You guys are fantastic, and you guys are the heart and soul of the process of making people aware of what's going on there in Canton. So thank you guys in Massachusetts. So thank you, Paul Cristoforo, and all the rest of you guys out there. Scott McGinnis, you too. I see you, buddy. So, and if you guys make sure to subscribe to Resistant to Silence, a channel called Resistant to Silence. If you want all of the updates on what's happening as far as the protests and the standouts go, and sometimes just the standouts in support. Most of the time, actually, that's all it is. Make sure to subscribe to that channel where you guys get you get a heads up on when they're going to be doing that. And if you're local, if you're interested in joining them, if you're interested in showing them support, and you're interested in knowing ahead of time what they're up to, make sure to subscribe to Resistant to Silence. And of course, Tom CPU. Keep all of those on your YouTube Rolodex. Okay, people. Now, I got to go through just down my history on stuff here that we're going to go out. And there's a new website in its infancy. Okay. Thank you. Paul, I appreciate it. But I think we got a super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat. Super chat. Super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat. I think we got a super chat. Jessica, thank you so much. Loving the late night glare. Appreciate you. Loving the late night Jessica as well. Microdots has been dropping video after video after video. Microdots wasn't fucking around. Microdots is like, as soon as this trial's over, y'all are going to be seeing a bunch of shit coming from my channel. And Microdots is delivering, most definitely. So make sure to sub to Microdots as well. Absolutely. You don't want to miss that stuff because Microdots is always dropping truth bombs. Now, what's up, Sleuthy Goosey? It's good to see you. And I think Sleuthy Goosey, and I'm really counting on this, by the way. I think Sleuthy Goosey is working on a new Sandra Birchmore spreadsheet, much like the Karen Reed spreadsheet, and I'm really looking forward to that because I'm terrible at doing research, but that spreadsheet that she did for the Karen Reed one, that made things much easier for my learning disabled ass. So thank you for that, Sleuthy. I look forward to the despite the frustration she's expressing that she's going through on Twitter about it. I believe in you, Sleuthy. You can do this. I'm counting on you. So yeah, because man, again, like this case, the Sandra Birchmore case has a lot of stuff. It's a lot, and I don't even know where to start with it. I tried one other day, and I was just like, but I am definitely I definitely want to do my part in bringing more awareness to the Sandra Birchmore case. I just want to be able to explain it well. So I do look forward to that. Let me just go through. I'm just gonna go through my history of some of the stuff that I would click on, and I clicked on it so it would be on my history and I could just find it easily. Because a lot of the stuff I just watched maybe the first 30 seconds of it, if that, and then I was just like, okay, this is okay. But let's go over some of the news clips first. Let's stick to mainstream media to start. Now, NBC 10 Boston did their usual little piece that they do. It's about 25 minutes long, and I'm gonna go over that first.
for them to have checked off not guilty.
In hindsight, legal experts we spoke with say Judge Cannoni could have gone through all three charges.
That's the loudest it goes, by the way. Sorry, guys.
Trial was declared with Reed, now still accused of hitting her Boston police officer boyfriend John O'Keefe with her SUV, leaving him to die in the snow in January 2022.
Judge Cannoni would decide whether an evidentiary hearing.
Okay, yeah, evidentiary hearing. Right. Yeah, we already know. Is all the reason why I'm like, yeah, evidentiary hearing. We know that's gonna happen. So big shout out. I think her name was Lisa. I think somebody, a really nice person. A lot of people gave me a few things, and while I was in Boston, and someone was really nice, gave me this in person, this Jackson Yannetti 24 thermosy coffee thingy, and that's what I'm going to be drinking out of, at least for the time being. The blue cup is on vacation. So yeah.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got
a coffee cake. Thank you. I'm concerned for Karen. The jury did not believe the ARCA guys or Dr. Russell. They needs to do a 3D model and get American standard dog training to testify. I appreciate you, coffee cake, but I do disagree. I disagree because I think that they absolutely believed the ARCA guys. I think that we would be scratching our heads and wondering if they believe them or not, had those text messages not contained the one comment stating that the jury was intimidated by Brian Albert being in that. Now, they misspoke and said Higgins, but at the end of the trial, the only people that showed up and sat in the gallery, Higgins never showed up and sat in the gallery. He only showed up and testified, so they misspoke, and they got the Bryans confused, but they were absolutely referring to Brian Albert, and Brian Albert absolutely is intimidating. This is what he does. And we suspected this, and it was confirmed. I think that every single one of those jurors believed that those ARCA experts were absolutely legit, and their testimonies were legit, and their recreations and their research was legit. I absolutely believe that 100%. And I also believe that they felt intimidated and were looking for some way to not look like they were siding with the defense in order to not feel some sort of fear of retaliation from the McAlberts. That is absolutely what I believe. And I have every reason to suspect this. So I really don't give a fuck what anybody says, if I'm being totally honest. I know people are going to be like, they're innocent and how dare you and blah, blah, blah. They're not fucking innocent. They're liars. So I don't feel bad about it in the slightest bit.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad.
Paul Cristoforo, thank you. We ain't got no quit. We will be protesting at Morrissey's office on Wednesday at 3 p.m. See the pages for details. Free Karen Reed. I absolutely agree. And thank you for that heads up. Appreciate it. If you guys are local and you want to stand out and you want to have your voices heard and you want to protest the corrupt Michael Morrissey and his corrupt Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, join up with Paul Cristoforo and the rest of the Karen Readers to do so. I don't think Proctor was fired unless that just came in. Is that news or are you just saying things? Because people do that in my chat sometimes, and it's kind of annoying when people just say things. I do know that he was actually suspended without pay. I know that. But is there some news stating that he was fired? Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, suspended without pay. Okay. Yeah. All I gotta do is refer to the usuals here that I can count on for reliable information, and that's all I need. So thank you guys. Yeah, this these people just don't want to like roll over, bro. You know, now we're gonna go through this, but then we'll get to the fun stuff because I want to get all the media here, you know, because I find it fascinating how much the mainstream media who isn't pushing a narrative that Karen Reed is guilty. I find it interesting to just watch them not say things that actually matter. It's always fun. Like either they're pushing the narrative that Karen Reed is guilty, or they're just simply not saying things that would absolutely make Karen Reed not guilty in the court of public opinion across the board of anybody that is contained of anybody of common sense. So it's crazy to me. But let's see what Boston 10 said today about today.
Can be used in order to gauge whether the jurors met and reached a consensus on any of these counts.
So we contacted the DA's office. They say they're looking at the motion in anticipation of a filing response and look forward to picking a new trial date on July 22nd. In debt, I'm Darren Botello, NBC 10 Boston.
Well, I saw him as recently as Friday, and I didn't know I'd be seeing him again so soon. Let's bring back in Michael Coyne, Dean of the Massachusetts School of Law, to go deeper into all of this.
Michael, as always, thank you for being with us. The argument is to dismiss counts 1 and 3. So we're told the defense learned of the jury's vote because one of them reached out directly to David Yannetti, and then 2 more jurors emerged with the same information. Have you ever heard of someone on a jury doing this before?
No, it's highly unusual that jurors would come before the verdict has now been entered in the record to come and say, you know,
This is the loudest this video gets for some reason. I have no idea why. I apologize, guys.
that wasn't really our verdict at all. It's incredibly unusual, as is this case, from beginning to end. And as we see now, the end is not as near as we thought. So it's a highly unusual step. Sometimes jurors will come and contact lawyers and say, what about this or what about that? But it's unusual where they've returned a verdict without any indication of guilt or not guilty on it, and now say, well, we had reached a verdict on a couple of the counts. So Judge Cannoni has a real issue before her because it's very difficult to go in and try to impeach the jury's verdict because we want those deliberations to be sacrosanct. We don't want the jurors' internal discussions.
Oh, hold on, just a second there, Professor. So I don't think that that's what they're trying to do. They're not trying to impeach the jury's verdict. They're trying to overturn Beverly Cannoni's decision. It's a Beverly Cannoni thing, not a jury thing. Yes, it's a jury thing that got us here, but if the jury already reached their verdict and that verdict wasn't ruled on, if Judge Beverly Cannoni's decision fails to be a result of what that jury's actual vote was based on, then I don't. Yeah, this isn't about getting the jury to change their mind. This is about challenging Judge Beverly Cannoni's decision in regards to what happened in that jury room. So
very difficult to even get a hearing with respect to the question about what took place during the jury deliberation.
Thank you, April Sings.
A lot of our astute viewers
Welcome to
ask us,
Logic.
why wasn't the jury polled before declaring a mistrial? What are the rules regarding that?
Generally, the court doesn't want the jury polled. They don't want to invade the jury's space, in essence, to ask them to reject their conscious decision individually. She could have asked them generally, do you all agree that you can't reach a verdict on count 1? Do you all agree that you can't reach a unanimous verdict on count 2? But you would have wanted to do it generally like that to the entire veneer, not just individually ask each juror what their vote was, because that can be an intimidating tactic if she had chosen that route. And it's not just disfavored. It's not supposed to be done under the law.
Okay, and Michael, I need some help with this.
Wait, what's not supposed to be done under the law? I don't.
Was wanted to do it generally like that to the entire veneer, not just individually ask each juror what their vote was, because that can be an intimidating tactic if she had chosen that route. And it's not just disfavored. It's not supposed to be done under the law.
Okay, and Michael, I need.
Okay, so she could have asked them individually, Is he saying that it's illegal to ask them individually, or I'm misunderstanding what this guy is saying? Sorry, guys, I'm a little stupid.
Generally, the court doesn't want the jury polled. They don't want to invade the jury's space, in essence, to ask them to reject their conscious decision individually. She could have asked them generally, do you all agree that you can't reach a verdict on count 1? Do you all agree that you can't reach a unanimous verdict on count 2? But you would have wanted to do it generally like that to the entire veneer, not just individually ask each juror what their vote was, because that can be an intimidating tactic if she had chosen that route. And it's not just disfavored. It's not supposed to be done under the law.
Okay, and Michael, I need.
Okay, but see, that's why I got confused, because he's saying you don't really want to do that because that could be considered intimidating, and then he kind of upgrades what he's saying here to you're not supposed to do it under the law, meaning she can't. You can't do that. But I guess maybe she's a judge, so she can do that, right? I mean, she has immunity, right? So, I guess maybe that's what he meant. Sorry, guys, I'm listening to this guy trying to understand him, and I'm thinking out loud in the process. So what he's saying is what she should have done is gone, hey, do you all agree on this count? Which we all agree with. But at the end of the day, what he's saying here is, do you all agree with count 1? Have you all reached a verdict on count 2? Or on count 3, so on and so forth, on each one, but not individually each juror go, hey, how did you vote on this count? How did you vote on that count? Because that could be considered an intimidation tactic. So, all right. I mean, but yeah, that's everyone's gripe. That's what we're all saying. We're all sitting here going, why didn't she address each count? Like if there's different sentences that come with each count, with each crime, right? If there's a certain sentence that comes with each crime, and she's being tried on each one of these things, then why? I mean, it seems like just plain 2 and 2, 4, it seems like just plain English that if she's charged with 3 different felonies, then shouldn't there be a verdict for each particular one? And shouldn't that have been addressed before she declared a mistrial? And so this dean of a law school, I'm not sure which one he said he was, but he knows what he's talking about. But yeah, he's basically just kind of confirming and validating us all for not, we don't think we're, crazy.
I need some help with this one. How can anyone on that jury, find her not guilty on the 3rd charge, but be split on the 2nd? I mean, if you think she's not guilty of the lowest charge, leaving the scene of personal injury or death, would she have to be not guilty on count 2, which is manslaughter while under the influence?
Yeah, excellent point. And that's
right.
What I was thinking as well. I can understand, we've talked from the outset that with respect to second-degree murder, the case.
See, that right there is my favorite question asked towards an expert on a panel on a fucking mainstream media outlet. That right there is my favorite question that I've heard any anchor or correspondent ask one of their panelists that is considered an expert. I want to hear that one more time.
Okay, and Michael, I need some help with this one. How can anyone on that jury, find her not guilty on the 3rd charge, but be split on the 2nd? I mean, if you think she's not guilty of the lowest charge, leaving the scene of personal injury or death, wouldn't she have to be not guilty on count 2, which is manslaughter while under the influence?
Yeah, excellent.
Right. So before this very educated and much more intelligent person than myself answers that question, I'm going to give you my very layman take on that. And that is, I absolutely look at that as an indication that that jury was intimidated by the McAlberts. Because if logic absolutely escapes this, if logic absolutely escapes this factor right here, well, then the only thing that you can apply any logic to, the only logic that applies would be that they were intimidated. What other explanation could there be why 12 very intelligent people came to this decision? It's almost like it was in code, like a cry for help. Jen Del Rio gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much, Jen Del Rio. I appreciate. And congrats to all you guys who got memberships. Awesome. So, well, they're not gifted subs. If you're not subscribed and you got a membership, you still got to hit the subscribe button. Just a heads up. But it's almost as though when you have 12 people who I observed that seem to be intelligent enough. Here's my take. I saw this jury. Okay. My take on whether or not they seemed intelligent, right? It's only based on, I haven't had a conversation with any of them. I haven't seen any of, I don't know anything about their personal lives or what they do for a living. I don't know anything about that stuff. I can only say that they seemed intelligent to me based on how they reacted to certain things in the courtroom during trial and how they conducted themselves overall. Like basically, like, were they attentive? Were they taking notes? Were they more attentive when certain things that required more attention to understand things better took place? And the answer is yes to all of those. They were all doing what you would expect an intelligent jury to do, short of not knowing anything else about them. So based on that, I am going to, if they have enough common sense to be attentive on the things that I was watching them react to, then these people have enough common sense to not make a decision like this and expect it to go under the radar. Because apparently people were intimidated by the Alberts in that deliberation room. And that is the only thing that actually makes that decision make sense. That vote makes sense. Not guilty on counts 1 and 3, but guilty on the lesser charge or split on the lesser charge. That sounds like a child's cry for help. Is what it sounds like. I mean, am I crazy? I know a lot of people are going to say yes, that's fine. But is it so crazy considering everything that we've seen so far? Is it so crazy that we saw the four most suspicious people, excluding Kerry Roberts? Kerry Roberts is just I have no reason to think that Kerry Roberts is lying necessarily. But she was weird. But the other 3, I mean, we're talking about Brian Albert, Colin Albert, and Jen McCabe. None of them they are all family, but none of them are immediate family. It was weird for those 3 out of all of the McAlberts. It was weird that those 3 took places in the gallery behind Paul O'Keefe. I found that very weird. And this happens on the day that jury instructions are given by Beverly Cannoni. And then this happens today. This happens today. And this juror claims that the rest of the jury was intimidated by Brian Albert being in that courtroom. And and they're split on the lesser charge. Like, how could there have been reckless endangerment if she never even hit him with the car? It doesn't make sense.
Excellent point, and that's what I was thinking as well. I can understand, we've talked from the outset that with respect to second-degree murder, the case really wasn't there and was likely going to be a not guilty. So that part of it makes sense that the jury may have said, let's discard this, no one really wants to fight for it, and let's focus on the last two charges. The problem is that if they were at one point 6-6 on vehicular manslaughter, and then ultimately even as far as 8-4 on vehicular manslaughter that she caused his death with that vehicle, well, how can they then reach a unanimous verdict to the contrary that she didn't leave his body there as a result of the motor vehicle coming into collision with him and cause his demise under the circumstances? That's very internally inconsistent. I would expect that the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office will point that out, that some of the information we've had just doesn't hold together when you examine it closely. And that's a particular one. You know, the fact is that's the least of the most serious charges.
Lally won't do that.
Now, if you're finding not guilty on that you could look at it as an 8-4 guilty on vehicular manslaughter.
Exactly. So confusing. Well, so if we look back to the moment that the
I'm telling you right now, Michael Morrissey's district attorney's office's strategy at the moment right now is hyper focused on public image. That's it. I promise you. I'm calling it right now. Little Irish Girl, thank you so much. MSP is in charge of dealing with the jury day to day. Not a stretch that they got to, and Brian Albert was there to remind them. Not a stretch at all. It's not even a little bit of a stretch. I agree. Thank you so much, Little Irish Girl. So, yeah, I don't think that there's I don't think it's a stretch at all that this jury was gotten to. And I didn't want to say anything really outright because I there's no way to prove that. But I mean, that's enough for me. That's enough for me. If somebody in the jury pool is straight up saying that's basically what took place, I mean, that's enough for me, dude. You know? And let me tell you, right now, see, this gentleman is giving ADA Lally way too much credit. He's giving him way too much credit because I'm telling you right now, I'm calling it. They are hyper focused. Michael Morrissey's office is hyper focused on image. Checklist. We've got Lally not addressing the public in a press conference or anything, just being quoted on, we're going to retry the case. Okay? Then you've got Paul O'Keefe conducting this two, actually, very, very public interviews and very, very fluff interviews. And in both interviews, he basically, he either both or at least talks poorly, condemns publicly the pink people, the people who dress in pink and support Karen outside of the courthouse and what have you. Those of us here in this chat as well. So this happens. Okay, this is very, very, very interesting to me. This happens, right? But he also, in at least one of those interviews, basically tries to rally the troops and get some sort of counter protest going, right? This also happens. Then we start seeing, now, sorry, let me go back. Add the first thing, which was the counter protesters, the 3 or 4 of them that showed up during jury deliberations. That second to last day. So rewind, that's step 1. And then step 2 is Lally making that quote. And then step 3 is Paul O'Keefe conducting these interviews. And then, because I don't think this is all coincidence. I don't think it's all coincidence that Crusty Panties and Psycho Hose Beast and these other two idiots who I don't fucking know who they are. They show up, and then Paul O'Keefe goes public talking about basically encouraging counter protest. I don't think that the timing there is a coincidence. So, the food stamp fine. Oh, you guys are too much, bro. I love my chat so much, man. I seriously love that so fucking. You guys are fantastic. So then, right? So then you've got basically a campaign of the usual loudmouths, but they are doubling. They're hitting the gas. Their foot's to the floor, hitting the gas on attacking, right? It's doubled up on Twitter. Turtle Boy had his parents' house vandalized with a murdered turtle hanging from the front of their house. Richard White, thank you so much. 36 is my favorite number. Congrats on 36K. Today's been a wild day. Thanks for covering. Thank you. Appreciate it. And yeah, today has been a wild day. I mean, and then, you know, the attacks on me have doubled down, and then the reports on my channel. This is all control to try to control the narrative in the public eye, because you can't just start fucking being louder about Karen Reed being guilty despite all of the facts that indicate and dictate otherwise. Excuse me, not indicate, but dictate otherwise. You can't just ignore that. You know, you can't change the facts. The facts are what they are. And people with common sense, their minds are made up. Our minds are made up. So what do? Instead of trying to change the minds with logic and with proof and with a valid argument, you attack, you intimidate, and then what you try to do is shut people down. You try to silence them. You try to quiet them. Again, my channel was reported for, I don't know what. There was one that they told me I had to take down, or two, and I was like, okay. I mean, I don't give a shit. You know, that's fine, but that's the worst that they're ever going to catch me on, because I don't fucking do anything. I don't dox people. I don't violate people's privacy. I don't do any of these things. I don't break the rules. I basically piss on ad revenue money, because it's the little that this channel would make off of ad revenue. I mean, it's not worth silencing. It's not worth censoring myself. It's just not. You know what I mean? So that's why, you know, you get, F-bombs and, you know, I say the cunt word a lot. Oh, I was supposed to say this. No, the cunt word. I say that a lot. I don't censor myself, and I take great pride in that. And I like being able to say whatever I want. And I am fine, especially with the fact that it is entirely up to me if I want to piss on ad revenue money. I don't give a shit. You know, you guys are more than generous with your donations, with your support, and that is more than enough for me. Very content with that. And you guys support me because you support me not holding back. And the interesting thing is I'm not holding back. I'm not holding back at all, because I have no interest in doxing people, and I have no interest in taking things out on people's real lives. And you know, I have no interest in trying to destroy people. I have no interest in trying to take anyone else's channel down. I don't care about any of that. As a matter of fact, I was saying something in someone else's channel in an unrelated issue, completely unrelated, you know, they were talking about that. I guess in the drama community, there's something going on with somebody being outed as a racist, and then people being outed as supporters of this racist, and it was Chasing's chat, and I like Chasing's channel, so I was interacting, but I didn't really know what was going on, and I made a point where I was just like, you know, because some people were saying, you know, they should be shut down and blah 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 blah, and I was like, I don't think so. You know, me personally, I prefer to know my enemy. You know, I would rather have someone out in the open be a fucking racist piece of shit, so I can understand them better. I have access to their fucking insane brains, and B, I have the luxury of making fun of them. I have the luxury. I can make content out of it. You know, like if it turns out, like if I catch like Plevin saying some racist ass shit, like, you realize like what I'm gonna do with that? It would be fucking hilarious. You know? But I'm not going to go try and shut his channel down. I'm just going to drag him. I'm going to go over the content, and I'm going to add shit to it. I'm going to play it in slow-mo a bunch of times. I'm going to just have fun with it and entertain myself with it and let you guys watch. That's what I always do. That's exactly what we're doing here tonight. I'm running my mouth and entertaining myself with thoughts out loud, and you guys are with me to enjoy it, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And I get to look at your insights in the chat and comment on them, and you guys get my wheels turning, and I get your wheels turning, and it's a fucking blast. But you know, these channels, like, I get so I always laugh when I see people trying to shut someone down. I'm like, why would you want to shut them down? You know? Like, you know how Twattendoffer tells me that she is only interested in hearing herself? It's because she blocks anyone with a different opinion. She's not willing to have the conversation. She's not in this to understand things better. She's in this to try and project herself out into the world as some sort of expert, and she wants validation for it, and she will settle for nothing else but that validation. That tells me that she doesn't give a fuck about the truth, and that also indicates to me that I am validated in calling her completely full of shit on all of her points of logic. Misty, thank you so much. Supporting free speech. Right on. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I look at people who do this constantly, like in the habit of this, and they don't realize how telling it is. You know, the only reason I'm bummed out that I'm blocked from Twattendoffer is that I can't see her tweets, because I would find her tweets extremely entertaining. You know, but I couldn't resist but comment. I should have just lurked. I should have just lurked and then, you know, reviewed the shit on my channel. But, you know, I can't help but be like, yo, lady, do you understand how absolutely full of fucking shit you are? You are a factory of stupid and an idiot. That's the kind of shit that I do, and that's what gets me fucking blocked. So, yeah.
Could the defense have done some of the things in the courtroom that now they're claiming in the motion?
Another really good question.
Thank you, the last Ronin. I appreciate it.
You could have asked the judge, Your Honor, would you make sure that the jury is, in fact, hung on each and every charge that they face? But, you know, that's one of those ones that maybe you don't want to ask the question you don't know the answer to, because maybe they'll say, well, no, we have a verdict on X, Y, or Z. So that could have been done. They could have asked. And remember where we were when she declared the mistrial. We had a series of notes. We had a note that morning that really indicated, if you were reading it carefully, that they were likely hung. They still went out 4 hours later, tried some more, got their final instructions, and still failed to reach consensus. And then the note was incredibly strong that they were never going to reach consensus on on the charges, right? It's a plural that the note said, and she read it out loud, and it said.
Yeah, no, all I'm saying is that I don't, like, I have no interest in, like, destroying anyone. You know, like, I don't have any personal feelings about these people at all. I have personal feelings about what they, you know, what they're doing and what they're supporting. But the thing is, you know, when I say I'm a patriot in the truest sense of the word, man. I mean it. Like, I don't squander my freedom of speech, but I also would never be so hypocritical and self-oblivious to try to suppress someone else's freedom of speech, regardless of what they're saying, regardless of how they feel. This is America. This is the place where you should be allowed to say whatever the fuck you want and express however you feel verbally without any type of repercussion other than argument. You know, that's it. You know, criticism, I mean, that's it. You open your mouth. We're all accountable for our words. You open your mouth and you are subject to criticism once those words come out of your mouth. It just is what it is. It is part of being an American. As much as you love what you get to say, and as much as you love that you get to say whatever you want, you also have to love the fact that you're going to hear things that you don't like. You don't have to like the things that you don't like. You just have to love the fact that you're going to have to hear it. You're going to have to learn to love that. I have learned to love that I am going to hear things that I don't like. I have learned to deal with it in a very productive manner, for my own mental health, productive for my own sake, productive. Something that I get out of it is simply to make fun of it, point it out for the stupidity that it is and make fun of it. And that is it. So I highly recommend it, folks. Just remember, you don't get to say, I love my freedom of speech and try to take someone else's away. You can't do that. That makes you a hypocritical douchebag. And that's it. M, thank you so much. Hey, Will, Cherry, and chat. Right on. I appreciate you. Remember, for 6 months.
It said it twice, so it wasn't a mistake. At least it would appear by whoever wrote the note that they were indicating they were hung on the charges before them, and there were the 3 main charges and some subsidiary charges. So I think if we look back at the time, I guess we could have asked for clarification, or they could have. But at the bottom line is, though, the notes were very clear that it appeared to everyone observing that they could not reach consensus on anything, and that's where it gets interesting, because at least some juror has now said, well, we did have consensus, but the form isn't completed at all. The very first question that they could have answered said not guilty with respect to the second-degree murder charge, and so it's not buried deep in the form. It wouldn't have been difficult if, in fact, they reached consensus. It's a very interesting problem that Judge Kanomi has now, because at least we have some jurors coming forward saying there's a problem, but we don't have a majority of the jurors, and we certainly don't have.
I'm like half listening to this guy and half like still thinking about what we were talking about, because I'm seeing like some stuff in chat. Like, so yeah, man, like I just again to piggyback off of what a lot of what you guys are talking about in chat, man. Like I believe, yes. You know what I love the most about like seeing channels that spout out bullshit? What I love most about it is like they're outed. Like what I was talking about earlier, like what the drama community's been talking about, which is like somebody being racist. To me, that's such good news, because it's like, oh, fuck, yes, a racist, you know, in the sense that, hear me out. In the sense that I'm like, first of all, in this day and age, I mean, if you're like openly a racist, like you're just going to get ridiculed. You're not influencing anybody. You're not really dangerous unless you're a violent person. But if you're just spouting out stupid shit, stupid, ignorant, racist shit, all you're going to do is get clowned. So anybody who's stupid enough to be outright racist out there in the open like that, I would prefer that. I want to see that, you know? Like, wouldn't you rather, put it this way, like, wouldn't you rather, what's up, Microdots? Wouldn't you rather? And this is going to be a tough question because, oh man, it's just thinking about it kind of turns my stomach. But listen, hear me out. Oh man, this is almost against my better judgment to even use this analogy. But wouldn't you rather a child molester have a YouTube channel where they're absolutely open about their opinions rather than them lurking in the shadows? At least you know where he is and what he looks like and what this fucker's capable of. He's not lurking in the shadows. He's not a bad bedtime story just anymore. Like, he has a face. You know what I'm saying? He's got a fucking face. You know? Like, that's what I need. Like, am I gonna like the things that I'm hearing? Fuck no. I'm gonna want to reach through my computer screen and fucking wring someone's neck. You know what I'm saying? Of course. But I would rather them be out there, their face out in the open, and I go, that motherfucker right there, rather than them be lurking and hiding in the shadows, like they fucking do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my point. So to me, it's silly. To me, that's not a solution. Like, why would you provide them the shadow, the blanket of shadow and anonymity that gives them more of carte blanche to operate in their shittiness? You see what I'm saying? So to me, it's silly to try to shut someone down and take away what they're saying. Like, logically speaking, if you're trying to shut someone down and take away their freedom of speech, it's because you're afraid of what they have to say. You're afraid of the kind of impact that they're going to make. But the thing is there's no way that a child molester is going to go on a YouTube channel and start making sense to people. You know what I mean? This dude is not going to come up here and start giving the ins and outs of what a fucking predator does and act like it's the coolest thing in the world and get people to go, you know what? I never really thought of it that way. That's not going to happen. You know what I mean? All this dude is going to do is disgust everyone. He's going to make everyone fucking sick. But you're going to know he's there. You see what I'm saying? Exactly, Microdot. See how Microdot's explained that shit in one short ass fucking comment? Probably had like 100 characters left that he could have typed in this fucking comment, and I gave this fucking 10-minute fucking lecture on it. It's totally unnecessary. Thank you, Microdot. I appreciate it.
Saying, oh, no, we had agreement.
Michael, we have 2 seconds left. I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you retry this case if you were the prosecutor?
I think you have to on behalf of the O'Keefe family, as well as you have the murder, at least as the prosecution sees it, of a Boston police officer. And at some point, we should have justice for John O'Keefe. And that's the way the prosecution sees it, is this is the correct defendant.
Thank you so much for joining us, Michael. We always appreciate your input. Thank you. All right, coming up next, more legal questions with attorney Morgietta Dourcier.
Plus, we have the latest update on the status of Michael Proctor, that Massachusetts state trooper who investigated the Karen Reed case. Stay with us.
It was the local case that captured a nation.
Each witness has shed some
Cast anger.
Her attorneys claim that the jury had unanimously concluded she was not guilty of either charge. We want to bring in Morgietta Dourcier, legal expert and lawyer at Bay State Law Group. Morgietta, what happened here? We were just talking to Michael Coyne, and he said the jury form itself was pretty clear that there was after second-degree murder, there was a box right there to check not guilty. Is this simply a matter of a confusing jury form or confusing jury instructions?
I think it's a little bit of both here, and I think the reality is that the entire case was confusing to the jury, right? And even confusing to us. So I think it breaks it down into 2 important pieces. Number one, the jury form may have been confusing, although I would agree with Michael that count 1 and at least count 2 appear to be pretty straightforward on the form. And maybe they were hung up on the lesser included offense in count 2, right? But the second piece of that is they were given the actual jury instructions, which could have been about 15, 20, maybe 30 pages long. And that may have been confusing because sometimes these jury instructions seem straightforward to certain experts, but may be confusing to the general public because there are sections of it that could sound contradicting, right? And so you have to navigate that as well as the facts that you have on hand.
So when the trial journey is confusing, does it come down to the judge being the tour guide to kind of clear up the confusion? I think broadly speaking, Judge Canoni has
Right.
good marks on this case, but when we dig deeper into these
What?
issues, does some of the blame lie with her?
So the judge's position is to instruct on the law, right?
See, you see what I'm saying, man? Why is everybody so fucking scared? You know? This dude, on a broad level, I think Judge Canoni's been doing... No, dude, like, on a broad level, she has fucking held Lally's hand throughout this whole thing. Thinking broadly, looking at this case broadly, dude, what other conclusion could you come to? She had contempt for the defense and favored Lally the entire time. Tell me that's not true. I don't understand why these people on mainstream media are so fucking scared to say something. Like, I don't understand. Like, does Boston's Finest have something to do with it? Does the news or does the TV network that was behind Boston's Finest have something to do with, have some sort of influence over mainstream media? I don't think so. It's just a show that's not even on anymore. I don't see why it would. That doesn't make sense. Saying it out loud, it sounds ridiculous. But I don't understand why mainstream media, they're so scared to go. I mean, one could argue, what's so hard about that? You're not necessarily showing bias if you go, well, one might be able to argue that Judge Beverly Canoni, or we've heard a lot of chatter about Beverly Canoni seemingly showing favoritism towards Lally throughout the course of this entire case. I mean, that's not unfair to say. There's a lot of us saying that, so why not just point that out? Word it that way. Because there's no way that this guy with a fucking brain who's got a job as a news anchor on a local TV station, there's no fucking way that this guy has come to the conclusion that Judge Beverly Canoni, on a broad level, has been doing pretty good here and it's pretty fair. Like, what, dude? I got to hear it one more time.
That you have on hand.
So when the trial journey is confusing, does it come down to the judge being the tour guide to kind of clear up the confusion? I think broadly speaking, Judge Canoni has come in for good marks on this case, but when we dig deeper into these issues,
No.
the blame lie with her.
So the judge's position is to instruct on the law, right? But she can't make or change the law. She has to read the law as it is. And it's up to the jury at that point to decipher with the law that she has given, can they apply those specific facts? Whether or not it comes off confusing or not, I think it's for the jury to really understand what they understand. And I think I've said that from the beginning, that they are.
I agree with her on that. Now, when it came to Judge Beverly Canoni, now, again, I'm a layman. I've never even fucking worked in a courtroom at all, ever in my life. No experience in the law whatsoever. I have no idea. But it seemed like Judge Beverly Canoni was, all she did was just recite the law to the jury, which is exactly what she's supposed to do. And it's up to the jury to understand those instructions and understand how the law works based on her explaining it. That's her job to explain it to them, and it's their job to absorb it. That's their duty as jurors with jury duty. That's their duty, part of it. They have to do that. So I'm with this panelist here who's saying that's up to the jury, and I totally agree. I don't think that Judge Beverly Canoni was it was boring as fuck, because we're just sitting here like, oh my god, dude, how much of this shit, so she might have bored the fucking jury to death, but still, that's on the jury, that's on them, to fucking pay attention. Thank you, Mia. What makes me so mad is that these two anchors and Paul's refuse to ask questions like, what about the medical examiner and the crash guy's testimony? Yeah. They won't talk about that stuff, Mia, and thank you. You're right, and I agree with you. Why won't they talk about that stuff? Why won't they bring this stuff up? This is what the rest of the world is talking about. This is what makes me think. This is, in essence, actually a fucking clear-cut explanation as to why I find mainstream media's coverage of this case questionable and even suspicious, is because the questions, and they are fair questions, that the majority of the public following this case are asking all over social media, the mainstream media won't touch. Why are they not talking about the medical examiner not ruling it a homicide? Why are they not talking about the ARCA guys? Why are they not talking about the federal investigation? They're not under court order to not discuss that. So these are things that are completely fair, that make it completely fair to suspect a frame up here. These are all things. And these are just a few of those things that the mainstream media is not talking about, but social media is blowing up with it every day. Every day, social media is blowing up with all of these different points. People are arguing, making these points, talking about every single aspect, the lying of the McAlberts on testimony, to the Dr. Russell, the canine expert, the one that was an expert in canine bites, police dog bites specifically. She literally wrote the book on canine bites. It took her fucking 10 minutes to explain her qualifications. Nobody is talking about this shit. Yes, Dr. Russell. Nobody is talking about this shit. We are, but why isn't mainstream media? What is stopping them from doing so? It is not an accident. It cannot be an accident. And I realize I come off like I've got a tinfoil hat on, but come on, I'm just stating something that's obvious. If it's weird, it's weird. If I see crop circles, I see crop circles. Maybe they're fucking done by aliens, or maybe they're done by pranksters with plywood and 2x4s. I don't know. What I'm saying is I see the fucking crop circle sitting there. That is a fucking anomaly that the mainstream media refuses to bring up the things that we are talking about. Thousands and thousands and even millions possibly at this point, discussing the things about this case that are suspicious. But mainstream media will not touch it. And it's bizarre. We're not talking about rumors here. I understand if we're talking about rumors and speculation. I understand that. I'm not talking about that stuff. You know? I don't care that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear about rumors. But why aren't they discussing the very clear inconsistencies between court documents, between witness statements, between evidence being entered, and between testimonies? Why aren't they talking about those inconsistencies? There's so many of them. There's so fucking many of them. Why are they not talking about those?
What they saw as factual and apply it to the elements of the charges that Karen Reed is being, charged with. It may be confusing to them overall, but a lot of them, it's from my understanding, I think I've heard that this is the first time they've sat on a jury. So I'm not surprised that they've reached this point where they're coming back now, or a few of them are coming back and saying that some of the information wasn't clear.
Morty Editor, CA, thank you so much for your input on this.
When we come back on Canton Confidential, a hearing for the state trooper at the center of this case.
Eli Rosenberg joins us live with today's decision on Michael Proctor's future with the state police.
We're here for dog parents. For parents who get up extra early for a workout. For parents who plan the best jolting tech.
Takes a closure.
Confidential officers recommend
murder trial. State police.
How far? Let me just get out of this real quick. Start on the next thing. Get that ready. How far does Michael Morrissey's reach go? I think is a fair question. Based on the questions I was just asking, how far does Michael Morrissey's reach actually go? I mean, is that an unfair question? Isn't it a little naive to just assume that his power stops at the Norfolk County District Attorney's office? He is a Democrat, is he not? And I'm going to get a little weird here, but I'm just using my imagination, right? Just using my imagination. How important is the blue vote? Because is it coincidence? Is it just coincidence of timing that this case is being dealt with the way that it is at this point, just before an election? I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Again, maybe, like I said, I'm just speculating. I don't fucking know. But is it naive to think that Michael Morrissey's branches all stop at the ceiling of his position? I mean, we saw what the governor said. The governor supported the decision with Michael Proctor when they transferred him. And everybody kept saying that they took him off duty. That's not what happened. They transferred him. Now he's suspended. He is now, but the media kept wording it a different way. And they kept using the same word. It was like a buzzword. It was really weird. Like, we went over it. I think it was yesterday, and I was just like, why do they keep saying that? I don't remember what the word is, but I was like, why do they keep saying that? That's not what happened. They didn't do anything. They just fucking moved him. Relieved of his duties. Yes, that's what they kept saying. That they relieved him of his duties. That's not true. They did now. Now he's relieved of his duties, but at the time when they were saying it, and they all kept saying those words. It was, I mean, this whole thing is super bizarre, dude. All right, y'all ready to have some fun?
True crimers, welcome to Break the Case. I'm your host. I'm Jen Coffindaffer. I have over 28 years of federal investigative experience, and I'm so excited to be here tonight to talk about really breaking news in the Karen Reed case, the John O'Keefe trial, I always call it, because he is the true victim. We have a great, great guest here tonight to help us really break this down. He is the state attorney for Palm Beach County, and he is also a former Florida senator. Please welcome Dave Ehrenberg without any further ado. Dave, I'm going to get you in here.
Fuck Dave.
Jennifer, it's great to be with you.
How's it? You're my, can I say this? Well, all the other attorneys get mad. You're my favorite attorney.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice. Thank you for saying that. It means a lot because I love watching on TV.
Well, unfortunately, dude, in the public eye, she's known as what we like to refer to as a fucking idiot. So that's not high praise, my man. For her to say that you're her favorite attorney probably means that you're fucking retarded. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people are going to jump to that conclusion. I'm not. I don't know. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm just saying that it's not high praise for this person to say that you're her favorite attorney. You know, like, there's going to be a lot of people who are just going to just quickly jump to the conclusion that you're retarded. You know what I mean? They're going to go, oh, Twattendorfer's favorite attorney, fucking retarded. That's boom, that quick. Not me, for instance. Just to be clear, not me. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here, bro. Just for now. Just for now.
I find myself agreeing with you on just about everything. I can't even remember anything I disagree with you on. And sometimes it's tough taking the prosecution viewpoint. So thank you for doing that.
No, absolutely. You know what? This is one of those cases, Dave, where you and I are definitely in the minority, at least the loud minority, right? The majority seems to be very boisterous. And
I mean, that's the first correct thing that she's ever fucking said. You're definitely goddamn loud, lady. Bachelor Junior, thank you so much. How's long before the feds show up? Where is the dog? How long before the feds show up? FBI, open up! Thank you. Appreciate it.
You know, very upset and you know, quite the advocates for Karen Reed. I really want to break right into this, Dave, because we have a lot to break down. I know you've gone over the documents. I've been poring over them myself. What was your first thought when you saw that this motion was coming in to basically say,
You never poured over a document in your life. Stop it.
hey, listen, there's wrongdoing here. They actually did reach a verdict on at least count 1, if not both 1 and 3. Have you ever heard of this?
I had never heard of this, but I did some research after I saw what happened. And it's not the first time this has happened. There is a Supreme Court case pretty much on point from 2012 where Chief Justice Roberts wrote the opinion, which said that, no, you don't get double jeopardy protection. You don't get to count that as an acquittal when you didn't finalize it. You didn't sign the jury form with the acquittal. It wasn't recognized by the judge. Just because you may have had some discussions in the jury room is not enough. It's like a sporting event and the referee, you know, blows a call. Well, and then the game is over. You don't get to go back and then say, oh, now we have to change the outcome.
Okay, wait a second. Wait just a second there, dude.
Which said that, no, you don't get double jeopardy protection. You don't get to count that as an acquittal when you didn't finalize it. You didn't sign the jury form with the acquittal. It wasn't recognized by the judge. Just because you may have had some discussions in the jury room is not enough. It's like a...
Is this guy seriously fucking crying like a goddamn baby right now? Is he seriously like... You don't get to call double jeopardy. No, you didn't sign anything. You didn't sign anything, so it doesn't make it right. No. You didn't sign anything. You didn't sign anything, so doesn't count. No. What a fucking dude. You're a fucking retard. Dude, it hasn't even been 5 minutes, bro. Dude, you barely got through your first fucking part of what you were saying, and I'm already saying you're a fucking retard. Like, I mean, where did you come from, dude? Like, if you're not retarded, then what are you exactly? What are you?
I'm retarded?
Yeah. That's what I thought.
A sporting event and the referee, you know, blows a call. Well, and then the game is over. You don't get to go back and then say, oh, now we have to change the outcome of the game. It doesn't happen. And I'm not even so sure that the referee blew the call here. It seems to me that we're only hearing from 3 jurors, right? And besides, that doesn't necessarily mean that was the final decision.
Oh.
As long as you continue to deliberate, people can change their mind.
3 jurors. 3 jurors. Listen to this guy. Okay, you fucking bobo. Dude, like 3 jurors who are at this point, because I don't think that Jackson or Yannetti would be willing to file this motion unless they could get those 3 jurors to sit on a stand and testify under oath. Okay? Now, here's the other thing about that, and it doesn't take a lawyer to know this. He's also going to get the rest of those jurors because they're witnesses. So it's not just 3 people. Ultimately, how this is going to turn out, it's going to be all 12. All 12 of them are going to have to swear under oath as to what happened in that jury room with that count. That's going to have to happen now. So it's not, no. It's not, oh, it's only 3. Shut the fuck up. It's not just 3 fucking jurors, dude. When this gets to, when the chess moves that Jackson Yannetti are playing right now gets to that point, because I promise you, this is just a chess move, a prelude chess move to the check. And that check is going to be getting all of those jurors to have to testify. Every single one of them under oath. And they'll all get subpoenaed. They'll all get subpoenaed. So, I mean, I even know this, bro. Like, you don't know this? Oh, you're Twat and Dopper's favorite lawyer. That makes sense.
Their minds, they could, make deals back and forth. They could predicate their decision based on their decision on another count. Well, now that we're going to be hung on this count, I want to go back to the first count and revisit it. No, so that's why you don't get to have it this way, where you get to go back, bring the jurors in, and overturn a verdict. That's not how it works.
Yeah, I think part of the problem may be that a lot of people have either never been jurors or never dealt with jurors. I mean, I was so fortunate to be able to have judges who allowed us to talk to jurors after the convictions. I'd like to say after, I'm glad I don't have to say, I should say after any acquittals, because I've never been involved in a trial where anyone was found not guilty or where there was even a hung jury. I'm sure you have a different experience because you probably had so many more trials.
No, I love the people like who talk about being having the experience of having been on a jury before as like the right for them to preach gospel, like, oh, I've done jury duty before. I was on a trial. We deliberated for hours and hours and hours. Fucking like Ickadmel. Like saying that, trying to thinking that it's going to validate his complete and total lack of fucking common sense and how you look at this fucking case, and having done absolutely no research on it whatsoever. That shit was fucking hilarious to me. Like, I mean, Helen Sacone, thank you so much. Oh my God, you always make me laugh. The son-in-law my mom always dreamed to have. Appreciate it. Thank you. Charlie Lynx, thank you so sorry, Charlie Lynn, thank you so much. These were not just fleeting conversations. All 3 independently reported that they were unanimous, not guilty on second-degree murder and intentional manslaughter. I mean, right. Right. I mean, all 3 independently did this, people. They felt like some shit wasn't right here. We need to let these people know what's going on here. Because that shit was fucking shady. It was super shady. And how Beverly Cannoni dealt with it, it was super shady. Yeah, fucking Ickadmel. Yeah, dude, I love that fucking argument, dude. Like, you've never done jury duty. I've done jury. Dude, listen to me, dude. If you've ever fucking registered to vote, which is like anybody, fucking anybody, dude, if you've ever registered to vote, you get called for jury duty, bro. Like, you're not, like, you act like you got some sort of fucking degree in crime because you did your fucking civil service. You did your due diligence as a fucking citizen, dude. Like, that's it. Whoopity fucking do. That's like being like, oh shit. You don't understand. You have no idea. I'm the authority because I had to independently get a job in order to pay my bills and cover my own personal expenses. You have no idea. Dude, who gives a shit, dude, that you sat on a fucking jury? Who gives a fuck? You're not special because you sat on a fucking jury. You did the same goddamn thing we do here for fucking fun? Are you kidding? This is what we do. We sit here and we watch fucking trials for fucking fun. We do the same thing that you do, except you have to do it in the room and it fucking counts when you do it. But it's the same goddamn thing. We listen to fucking evidence. We make a determination on the evidence. We conclude whether or not the prosecution presented enough evidence without beyond a reasonable doubt. It's simple. It's not fucking rocket science, dude. It's not even law school, bro. It's not even night school, dude. What are you talking about? For those of you who know and you sat on a jury before, shut up. Who cares? Who cares that you sat on a fucking jury? Like I'm supposed to dismiss common sense because you sat on a jury and decided to dismiss common sense and hide behind the fact that you sat on a jury once? Like all of a sudden I'm going to think that you know what you're talking about as far as the evidence in a case? Like I have eyes, bro. I can see if evidence is legit or not. There's a fucking chain of command. There's a chain of custody, excuse me. There's a chain of custody with the evidence. And I'm telling you, if there's a fucking pile of clothing laying on a hospital floor, there's a picture of a pile of clothing laying on a hospital floor, and then I don't see, you tell me that there's microscopic pieces of taillight in there, but then tell me that you didn't fucking enter those clothing into evidence for fucking 3 weeks after the goddamn picture was taken of it laying on the hospital floor. Me having common sense, I don't have to have had fucking experience on a jury to go, I don't know what the fuck could have happened to those clothes in 3 weeks. I have doubts that that's legit evidence because there's 3 weeks of doubt to consider. 3 weeks of me wondering and using my imagination as to what could have happened to those fucking clothes before they were entered into evidence. But, you know, I was on a jury. I sat on a jury once. Fucking good for you, bro. Now, like, I feel bad for the person who was on trial and you got selected. I feel bad for that person.
But Dave, people don't understand that it really is that. They bargain back and forth. They bring in some of their own experiences. One of the most unique points that one of these jurors, again, purportedly made was that she could not, or he could not reach a consensus regarding the crime, the third charge, leaving a scene of a body that ended up being dead, because she said the car couldn't cause hypothermia. At least, and I can read it verbatim, but that's pretty much the translation. Did you have an opportunity to read that, and what did you think?
Yeah, I didn't know what to think about a car causing hypothermia, but you know, jurors are entitled to think what they want. You give them a lot of discretion, and they're entitled to also get heated. And I saw someone talking about, oh, there was bullying going on, and the jurors got counseling afterwards. Well, although threats are not permitted, you're allowed to sort of bully people a little bit. You're allowed to, you know, say, "How are you so stupid to think like this?" I mean, you're supposed to get heated. It's the jury room, and that's why it's almost impossible to overturn something based on what happens in the jury room, unless there was clear misconduct.
Because that's why the jury members had to get counseling, not because one of the most feared people in the entire community was sitting there staring them in the face just before they went to go deliberate. That had nothing to do with it. No. Yeah. What made those jurors have to seek counseling was because someone called them an idiot in the jury room. No, bro. No, bro. These people were intimidated. They were intimidated by Brian Albert. It says so. Like, people are killing me right now, bro.
And what I have read, what went on there was not clear misconduct. And so this thing is going to get tried again. And if the murder charge does not come into play in the next trial, it will be because the prosecutor doesn't think he can prove it and voluntarily does not file it. It's not going to be because the judge is going to dismiss it based on what happened behind the scenes.
Right. I want to talk to you really quick about the murder 2 charge. This is my understanding, but
This dude just said that shit out loud. It's not going to be because of what was said behind the scenes. Like, what do you mean, dude? in the one behind the scenes that fucking matters, like a jury deliberation room where a decision is being made on someone's life, whether or not they spend the rest of it behind bars or not. Judge isn't going to make a decision based on what took place in that room. No. Okay. Caleb Marie, thank you so much for becoming a new member. Appreciate you. Patty MC, I don't like a lot of people, but I do like you. Well, right on, man. That's high praise. Thank you. Charlie Lynn, thank you so much. Auntie Bev is looking like a slime bag because she dressed Jackson. She addressed Jackson and screamed at Karen down for the very issues he pointed out. She was responsible for clarifying what the verdict is for each individual count. I agree. That's the argument here. That's what everybody with common sense is saying here. Like, Judge Bev dropped the ball. She fucked up. You know, that's what happened here. And the jury even stated that they were confused by the questionnaire.
But I want you please to correct me if I'm wrong. The reason murder 2 was really on the table is if, as an example, you're driving down the road and you're recklessly driving, say going 140 miles an hour in and out of traffic, and someone steps out onto the road, they were changing a tire, whatever, and they stepped onto the road and you killed them. You should know by your actions going 120 miles per hour, say in and out of traffic, driving recklessly, that you could hit somebody and that you could murder them. And that is why.
That's manslaughter, you fucking dumbass. Hold on. I got to hear that one more fucking time because I can't believe my fucking ears. Did the former FBI agent just fucking say that shit out loud?
Really on the table is if, as an example, you're driving down the road and you're Right, I want to talk to you really quick about the murder 2 charge. This is my understanding, but I want you please to correct me if I'm wrong. The reason murder 2 was really on the table.
You're wrong. She just said so. Okay, this is what I wanted to make sure I heard. The reason why murder 2 is on the table
is if, as an example, you're driving down the road and you're recklessly driving, say going 140 miles an hour in and out of traffic, and someone steps out onto the road, they were changing a tire, whatever, and they stepped onto the road and you killed them. You should know by your actions going 120 miles per hour, say in and out of traffic, driving recklessly, that you could hit somebody and that you could murder them. And that is why that would be murder 2, not manslaughter, because you should have known your actions could have killed the person. And
no, that's why it's manslaughter, bro. Like, that's why it's manslaughter, dude. Like, that's murder 2. The murder 2 upcharge was because they thought that they could prove intent. That they think that there was intent, hence all of the fucking bullshit motive that you're acting like they didn't even touch on in trial. They tried to prove all this motive. That's the whole point. The motive proves intent. The motive is designed, addressing the motive or establishing a motive is designed to prove intent. And that is the point behind the murder 2 charge. Not somebody fucking happens to be driving down 120 miles per hour and being like, fuck it if I hit somebody. That's fucking manslaughter because you didn't intend to hit anybody. One could even argue that that person driving 120 miles per hour would still try to avoid that person if they saw that person, but it was too late because they were driving 120 miles per hour, but they still had the intention to fucking move out of the way had they happened to see somebody. They just didn't do so in time. That's fucking manslaughter, man. What are you talking about? The intent is what makes it murder 2. How do people listen to her? I can't believe people listen to her. Dude, you know how fucking stupid I am, dude? You know what I mean? Like, in comparison, like if we're just talking professions, you know, like if you're judging me and judging her on professions, on paper, okay? You show them my fucking resume and then compare it to hers. They're going to go, this guy's a fucking retard, and she knows exactly what she's talking about. I'm going to listen to her. She has the experience. And I have to sit here and correct a former FBI agent the difference between fucking manslaughter and murder too? You know how I learned the difference? Like really learn the difference? Following the same case she was following. Following the same case. You know why? Because I know that they upped her charges. It went from manslaughter to murder too because they thought they could prove intent. Like that's it. How is she missing this? Like, is she trying to backpedal or something here? I don't understand what she's talking about. And I wonder if that dude is giving her the look like, you know what I mean? Is he looking at her like, okay, she's fucking stupid. Like, I didn't think anybody was stupider than me, but she's pretty stupid. I mean, Jesus Christ. And she scares me too. I don't know if I could ever be the same after knowing her. And how do I get her? How do I stop answering her texts without setting her off? I feel like she's going to get triggered at any second and then show up at my door. I mean, she showed up at the 34 Fairview with the new owners and she didn't care about that. But Jesus, I mean, look at her eyes. I mean, maybe she won't run away like Skeletor when she shows up at my door. So I have to be nice to her. I can't let her know that she's dumber than me because I didn't think anybody was. She's the only person on the planet who ever said I was her favorite lawyer. Everyone else probably tried to disbar me. My father, who is a judge, told me he hated me and he wished he could disbar me from parenthood. But Coffindoffer, I mean, if I'm her favorite lawyer, all that does is validate my father.
And infected. Is that nuts and bolts of it?
Yes, but when it comes to alcohol, it does negate a lot of the mental state that you need for a murder too. Now, you could say, depending on the state law, that you acted so recklessly that when you voluntarily drank all the alcohol and then you got in your car and you have to know that anyone you kill could be a murder. It's still, though, even if the law allows it, it's still a leap for jurors who are taught that, when you have murder, it's an intentional killing. And here,
just tell her it's fucking manslaughter and not fucking murder too, bro. Like, well, just do it. It's not that hard.
It looks like it was not intentional. And yes, she did put herself in a terrible situation by getting totally hammered. And then her anger
she's not going to show up at your house, bro.
And afterwards was used against her. Like, see, she was angry at him and she knew she hit him and then she left him to die. Well, okay, but it's just not enough, I thought, beyond a reasonable doubt, to prove that when she went back to the scene in the same car that she allegedly hit him with. And that to me shows that it probably was an accident. Plus, when she came back and said, I hit him. Yeah, that to me showed that she had some inkling in her mind. Like she thought that's what happened. After all, she told her friend at 5 a.m. that John was dead. But
she didn't say that, though. Every person who said she said it was discredited.
To me, it just seemed like this was more of a manslaughter case. This was someone who got loaded and she was angry and she hit the accelerator and she went back and she probably thought she hit him, but didn't actually believe that he would die. And so when you're a prosecutor, if there's any gray area there, it's probably best to not overcharge because you do lose some credibility if the jury thinks you're putting one over on them.
Yeah, I like how you put that. It wasn't really until the voice.
You mean like what happened with this case? Dude, I'm telling you, I will forever brag about this. This is one of my favorite moments in fucking life. I'm not even lying. I was in that courtroom and I was sitting next to Brian LTL, and right after they proved, I was in the courtroom for this moment. I am so happy. To me, that's almost like saying that you got to see fucking Van Halen in their prime live. You know what I mean? Like, I was in that courtroom when the defense proved that the Sallyport video was flipped. Like, I saw the jury's reaction to it. It was fucking amazing. And I will never, ever forget. This is one of my favorite moments in life. David Yannetti approached me and LTL only because we were the first people in his way, because he was so excited he would have told anybody. Not because we were us. We were just the people there. And he, so excited, David Yannetti walks up to us both and goes, "This is great. The jury now knows that it's the prosecution trying to deceive them and not us." Those were verbatim his words to us. And I will always hold that moment in my heart. Because that was a hell of a point in that trial. That was an amazing moment to be in that courtroom for. And this dude right here is sitting here going, well, the last thing you want is for the jury to think that you're trying to put one over on them. Dude, that happened halfway through the trial, bro. I was there. I saw it. The jury didn't like it. This already happened. This whole argument, remember, this whole argument is they're trying to establish that the jury, that it's fucking hearsay, and that the jury, there's only 3 people that supposedly said this, and it's not exactly true. It doesn't mean that it's true. I'm telling you that that jury most likely voted exactly the way that the defense says they did in that motion to dismiss today that they filed. I'm telling you that that is one of the reasons, one of the sole reasons why that jury voted that way. That is one of the reasons why I believe that that's actually genuine, because it makes sense. That moment, along with the ARCA guy's testimony, Dr. Russell's testimony, the testimony of all of the McAlberts, Proctor, Buchanan, Tully, all of them who sat up there and fucking lied, Higgins, every single one of them who fucking lied, who everyone dissected, that the defense dissected the prosecution's case, witness by witness, prosecution's witness by witness. Each one, they surgically dismantled the prosecution's case with their own witnesses. This happened in front of the world, people. So I'm telling you that now, knowing that, that makes perfect sense to me, that that happened in that jury room exactly how they're saying it happened. Because the only explanation that I can think of that makes any sense as to why, knowing everything that we know and everything that we know how that trial turned out and what took place during that trial, everything that we know, I absolutely have every reason to believe at this point that the only reason that this jury did not unanimously say not guilty across the board was because of the intimidation and the influence that the McAlberts are capable of. I absolutely believe this 100%. That is the only thing that makes sense, considering how that trial went. The only thing that makes sense why anybody would be convinced of throwing any type of guilty verdict out there, a guilty vote in that jury deliberation, would be because they felt intimidated by the McAlberts. There's no other explanation for it, because the case was open and shut. Nothing but doubt. Nothing but doubt. The whole case. Thank you, Laura Richter. I appreciate you. Or Riker, excuse me. I'm sorry. Now, there's a few things I wanted to go over, man. I haven't listened to this dude in a while. And I wanted to go over it with you guys. This is somebody new who we haven't heard much from. Now, I'm familiar with this guy because of YouTube. I'm familiar with this guy. Now, this guy, he goes by the name of Scott Reich. His channel is called Crime Talk. And he hasn't been as busy as he used to be. He made a name for himself talking about Watts and a couple other cases after that. And he was the law tuber that he was the go-to law tuber for most people. And then he just kind of fell off the map for a minute and just never really recovered from it. But he seems to be doing what a lot of the people who have been doing that do. This I'm going to react to this because I haven't listened to it yet. I'm only intrigued by the title, and it says Karen Reed blew it. Just saying. Look at the top of that. Karen Reed blew it. Just saying.
Listening to his press conference, help us find these people. There used to be standards. There used to be a certain code that took place, and all hell has broken loose, not only there in the city of Chicago, but just about everywhere else here in the United States. So let's get to the docket. So let's open the record for July 8th, 2024. And first on the docket, Alec Baldwin. Well, the judge agreed with the defense attorneys today. The judge decided trial.
Yeah.
It is a civil standard. This argument accidentally harmed themselves in your Baldwin. You can go back and look at our previous videos. I just happen to have be allowed to testify and team.
Sorry, I just
the
want to.
jurors
Okay, here we go.
I'll explain. Manding Facebook. Join us. It's going to be on all of the channels that we have on the Crime Talk Network. That would include YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, and Roku. So please join us. Next on the docket, Karen Reed is demanding a not guilty verdict. If only they had asked. Yeah, I'll explain. So Karen Reed's lawyers have filed a motion, and they claim that 3 jurors came forward to say that the jury had an agreement to acquit her of killing her Boston cop boyfriend before the judge ultimately declared a mistrial. Now, in this new motion, the attorneys for Miss Reed asked the judge to dismiss charges of second-degree murder and leaving the scene of a fatal crash. Now, Reed's defense team stated that it received unsolicited communications from the jurors following her week-long trial in Massachusetts, which ended in a hung jury. Another jury reportedly told the defense team that there was no consideration for murder two and that Reed should have been acquitted, according to the motion. Now, the assertion directly contradicts the jury foreman's note to the judge during the 5-day deliberations. The foreman communicated that the jurors were hopelessly deadlocked as a result of a deeply held belief. Now, the foreman said on July 1st, the deep division is not due to a lack of effort or diligence, but rather a sincere adherence to our individual principles and moral codes, and asked that the judge not force jurors to attempt to compromise their beliefs about the case. As a result, the judge declared a mistrial. Well, the district attorney's office immediately declared that they would be planning to have a retrial of the case. And then the DA's office said that now it's reviewing the motion and plans to file a response. And they said, once again, we're looking forward to picking a new trial date. We have that status conference on July 22nd. Now, the filing by Ms. Reed's attorneys argues the double jeopardy clause in the Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution, which prohibits anyone from being prosecuted twice for substantially the same crime. And they're asking for the charges to be dropped. Now, she also faces charges of manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle and driving under the influence of alcohol. Okay, this is a great publicity stunt.
Thank you, Katie Shea. Appreciate you.
Judge blew it, the prosecutors blew it, and the defense blew it as well. Now, everything from the notes from the jury foreperson indicated that the jury was deadlocked. There was no indication.
I'm thinking this title is clickbait because now he's covering his ass and saying everybody blew it.
As to whether it was truly a 6-6 split, 11-1, what the issue was. It really doesn't matter. But remember, every time the judge received a note, the defense said mistrial, mistrial, mistrial. Not once did either the prosecution or the defense or even the judge suggest, even after giving the modified Allen instruction, which was the one saying, go back, reconsider your positions, but don't give in if you truly convinced that somebody's right or wrong.
Gregor Smith, you said it, I didn't. But you know what? I'll do you one better. I'm not going to let you go down on that one by yourself, bro. Hey. Yeah, I mean, dude, like the fact is, I mean, come on, like his hair's a little Hitlery. That's all I'm saying. I don't know nothing about this dude's like, you know, what is, you know, I'm not saying the guy's a fucking Nazi, you know what I mean? I'm just saying that his hair is just slightly Hitlerish. It's got a Hitlerish hue to it. It's got a pinch of Hitler on it. You know, that's all I'm saying. It's just It's toupee with a dash of Hitler. That's all I'm saying. I'm just talking about his hair. Okay, I'm not saying that his hair attends rallies or anything like that, much less him. I'm just saying.
On. Not a single person said, have you been able to decide on any of the charges? If so, we'll take a verdict on the charges that you've reached a unanimous verdict from. So the fact that somebody from the jury pool has now come forward and says, hey, we had an agreement. Nobody was going to find her guilty of all that other stuff. It was all the other stuff that we were arguing about. Well, guess what? You jurors, you screwed it up. I don't know what happened. I don't know what they were thinking, but they made it sound like they were split and they were never going to be able to make a decision. The prosecutors didn't ask. The defense attorneys didn't ask, and the judge didn't suggest it either, to say, hey, if you've reached a verdict on a count, we'll take a verdict on that particular count. And then on the counts that you're hung and you're unable to reach a decision on, we will declare a mistrial for those counts. This is not a double jeopardy argument. This is a good publicity stunt, but it has no rational basis in law that I am aware of.
Okay, that's because you're not stating how it actually happened. Okay, you're ignoring the argument that everyone is saying. Literally every fucking law tuber and every fucking expert that has a law degree that goes on one of these panels. I'm telling you what they're all saying. I'm not a lawyer. You are. I'm not. But they're all saying that the issue here is that Judge Beverly Cannoni did not give an opportunity to go over each count. That there was never an opportunity for the jury to be heard on each count. Now, here's where I'll argue, though, just to play devil's advocate. Okay? Just to play devil's advocate. One might argue, okay, well, what the jury, what was Bev supposed to do? We all heard the note. Judge Bev read the note from the jury foreman out loud to everyone, to the entire world, right? And the jury was like, we're sorry, but we can no longer continue. We are deadlocked. Some of us, based on our convictions, blah, 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 this and that, so on and so forth. It was very general. But the argument is the fact that Judge Beverly Cannoni did not go, okay, since we've reached a deadlock here, we need to specifically go over this. I need to speak to this jury and find out exactly what's going on in that jury deliberation. Not exactly why they're deadlocked. That's not what I'm saying. But to find out, since there are 3 different crimes, 3 different felonies that come with 3 different sentences, if convicted, then it is up to the judge to address each one of those felonies, each one of those charges. That's the argument that everyone is making. And this guy, who's a lawyer, who's sitting up there with his hair goose stepping at me, is just ignoring this detail, not even addressing it, which is very fascinating.
But if somebody says, hey, Scott, there's a case in Massachusetts right on point that if the jury comes forward and says, we forgot to fill out the form correctly or notify the judge that we were going to find her not guilty of it, please let me know. I don't think that's the case. This is a dead bang loser, but hopefully the prosecution and the defense has talked to more than just 3 jurors to get a better understanding of where this jury came out on the issues. And in fact, truly, they would have found her not guilty.
Welcome, Sarah Dean. Thank you.
To make a particular decision as to whether they're going to go forward or not. Or
welcome to the hoity
make some sort of plea bargain that the defense can live with. Now, on another note, last week we talked about the photo. Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God.
Scott, I'm unsubscribing from you. How can you put up that photo? Well, guess what? There was even yet another news organization that said that they had corroborated the photo. The only thing I could find was some guy was like, well, we can't be sure. And it looks like maybe the watch isn't the same. Okay.
No, man. Did the other news organization have an expert on who said it was absolutely and explained how it was absolutely legitimate? That it wasn't doctored or altered in any way? No. But we heard an expert on News Nation explain it, right? Sarah in shock and horror. Sarah and Shock and Horror gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You are amazing. My mind is absolutely blown. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for doing that.
But people that were supposedly with Karen Reed that night said the photo was real, and don't take it too seriously. They were just joking around, just joshing around. So for all the people out there that say, "Oh, Scott, what are you doing?" Hey, you know what? You decide for yourself. We're bringing it to you. You can believe what you want. But
well, maybe you sit there and you dream about going out and taking your clients out on the town. Dude, I think you're a fucking drunk, bro. Now, I'm not judging. I've been there, but I'm saying I think you're a fucking drunk. Like, I don't know how else to like, how does a guy with a fucking law degree sit there and talk that way? You want people to take you seriously for your legal expertise, and you're sitting here talking about this bullshit photo, this bullshit footage that is clearly refaced. And I mean, you're sitting here talking about this like it's real, dude, and you expect people to take you seriously as a fucking someone with with law expertise, with legal insight. I mean, I think you're a fucking drunk. That's the only thing that I can think of. You're fucking drunk, bro. Go home.
the last time I saw a group of people this fired up for a particular side in a case was the Johnny Depp case. And misheard, horrible human being. But I also noted that, Mr. Depp was not a great individual either. Not all of that stuff was completely made up. But man, people are all fired up about it. And it's like when there are people that are there that's saying that that's the picture that took place. And I mean,
no, yeah, I'll admit, and at the risk of people getting mad at me, that's fine, but I'll admit, I don't think fucking Johnny Depp was an angel in that situation, dude. I think Johnny Depp is a fucking prima donna. And I don't think, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure that dude was fucking, getting hammered drunk and saying things that he shouldn't say and probably acted like an asshole himself. I'm not saying that he abused her. I don't think that. You know why? Because there's no evidence of it. But do I think that he was fucking Mr. Innocent Angel in the whole thing, the way that everybody made him out to be? No, of course not. I'm a realist. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure like this is a couple that fought, Do I think that he was Mr. Totally innocent abuse victim and kept to himself? And no, I don't. No, I think that he probably did plenty to piss her off, and she did plenty, and then she would take it to the next step and the next level. That's my opinion. But not all the time, I just think that Johnny Depp, being somebody who frequented certain substances on the regular, such as cocaine, such as opiates, such as alcohol. I mean, you do things, you black out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure dude said things that he probably didn't mean from time to time. I don't think he was Mr. Angel who just sat there and went and was the nice, sweet, innocent victim that he was on the recordings that he set up. That's all I'm saying. But do I think that do I think Amber Heard was a victim of abuse? Absolutely not. I do not think that for 1 second. Let Freedom Ring became a YouTube member. Thank you so much. Welcome to Logic. Appreciate you. Right. Good point. That's what I mean. She did yell and scream, "I hate you, you're a fucking pervert," over the phone. And I think that was because she was under the influence of alcohol and had a lot of feelings going on at the time. But I don't think it makes her a murderer in the slightest bit. No, I do not. Pierre, thank you so much. I just don't see the comparison to Depp versus Heard. No one died. Also, I would fight with Johnny Depp just to make up. Oh, good point. There you go. That's a fair enough argument.
I mean, has Karen Reed come out and say, that's not me? No. Have the attorneys come out and said, no, that's not me? It's been on all kinds of major news.
Okay, so that's them because they haven't come out and said that's not us. That's your logic, Scott Reich? That's your logic? That because they decided, that's not even worth my fucking time. Because that's not a possibility in your mind. That they wouldn't address this publicly because it's a fucking stupid thing to address. And it was debunked all over the internet before Fox News even got a hold of it. Right? I mean, dude, use your fucking lawyer brain, guy.
News networks. And also, I would note on TMZ. And if you can't trust TMZ, who can you trust, ladies and gentlemen? I say that with a little bit of jest, but a lot of times those tabloids, they get all the good scoops because they're willing to pay dollars, ladies and gentlemen, and they're saying the story was true. So you decide. I'm just bringing it to you. I take no position. It is what it is. It looks like him. All I can say in my 30.
Of course they're saying the story's true, man. Of course they are. It's more views for them. Because God forbid they actually talk about the case. Like what people log on to you for is to hear legal insight, not whether or not you think that fucking Karen and Alan Jackson were playing grab ass in public. Because that's what we want to hear from a fucking lawyer, right? That's the kind of insight that we want to hear from this guy, right? With all those law books behind him. That's what we want to hear is his opinion on whether or not Karen Reed was playing grab ass with Alan Jackson. Yeah. Keep it up, buddy. You're doing fucking great, homie. You are doing fantastic.
30 years of practicing law, I don't think I've ever embraced a defendant that way, if that is in fact the photograph that they purported to be. Next, take a look at this video. This is completely
So then why in the fuck would you think that they would do that? See, don't you think that an ethical guy who practices law and has practiced law for 30 years, I've been practicing law for 30 years. I have never embraced a client that way. Don't you think that somebody who's practiced law for 30 years would apply their common sense and go, you know what? It really doesn't make sense that such a successful and high-profile attorney such as Alan Jackson would actually engage in that kind of behavior in public with a client, even in private, but much less in public. It doesn't occur to you as a 30-year fucking law veteran to fucking just give the guy the benefit of the doubt as a brother in the law, right? Isn't that what you guys call each other? Brothers in the law? But you're not going to give this guy the benefit of the doubt to say that fucking picture was fucking refaced? Yeah, tell me you're a fucking drama channel now without telling me that you're a fucking drama channel now, guy. Get real. Fucking pathetic, dude. Dude, look at this guy, bro. Like, that motherfucker, like, why do I picture that guy combing his hair with like a fucking switchblade comb? Like, he keeps a switchblade comb because he thinks it makes him feel tough inside. This guy's just a fucking this guy's just somehow fucking has feelings of being a failure even though he's a lawyer. How does that happen? Like, how are you this insecure in yourself and you're a fucking 30-year veteran in the law, dude? You know what I mean? My man, straight up puts on his tie, fucking Go get him, Tiger. Walks out the door. His fucking eel skin shoes or whatever.
Unbelievable. Is this just a sign of the times? At least anywhere between 80 to 100 people broke into a gas station last week after attending a nearby car show. And apparently all these people then ripped shelves apart and stole everything from the store, including the cash that was in the cash register, estimated to be some $25,000, also including what was in the safe. Now, the police report says that the thieves were allegedly upset because the 24/7 store was only...
Okay, is he done with this shit? Like, that guy sucks, dude. All right, hold on. Hold on, there was like a... Crime Talk. What's on the docket today? Fucking vodka cranberries. Fuck that guy. Let's see what the tabloids are saying.
Just days after a mistrial was declared in the murder trial against Karen Reed, the woman accused of mowing down her police officer boyfriend, we've learned how the jury voted on the most serious charge. Defense attorneys say they've heard from more than one juror that the jury was unanimous in voting to acquit her of murder. Allison Hall has more.
We're now learning how the jury in the Karen Reed murder trial voted. The jurors unanimously voted to acquit her of murder, 12-0, not guilty. The jury was also unanimous in voting to acquit on the charge of leaving the scene of an accident, but they voted 9-3 guilty on the lesser charge of vehicular manslaughter, according to court documents just filed by Karen's defense team. What will this mean for Karen Reed's defense team?
Karen Reed's defense team will be able to focus on what charges are refiled, especially if some of these charges are dropped, which could be second-degree murder.
Last week, Reed's lawyer, Alan Jackson, stood defiantly on the courthouse steps after the jury said they were deadlocked.
They failed. They failed miserably, and they'll continue to fail. No matter how long it takes, no matter how long they keep trying, we will not stop fighting.
Karen is a former college professor who was charged with mowing down her cop boyfriend, John O'Keefe, in a jealous rage. Her supporters contend she's being framed by local police.
Mowing down.
Reed's attorneys have filed a motion to have 2 of the charges against her dropped, including that murder charge. The DA's office tells us they are looking forward to setting
Mowing down her cop boyfriend.
a new trial date from his
Stop
ruling
it.
later this month.
Fucking stop it. Ridiculous. Mowing down her cop boyfriend. All right, let's see what Fox News is saying about this.
Following the Karen Reed murder trial was declared a mistrial. We're learning new motions put forth by the attorneys for Karen Reed today as the defense team says jurors were unanimous on acquitting her of murder. As the jurors of the trial unanimously concluded she was not guilty of murder or of leaving the scene of a deadly accident and were deadlocked on only the remaining manslaughter charge before the judge abruptly declared a mistrial, her defense team said on Monday. I want to continue here on Live Now from Fox and learn more about potentially what this means. We're going to bring into the conversation right here on Live Now from Fox TMZ executive producer Michael Babcock. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. Maybe how big of these developments are they, and maybe how truthful are these 3 jurors saying that it was 12-0 unanimous?
I love it, dude. So Fox News brings on the fucking producer from TMZ. Now, in all fairness, I posted a TMZ article on Twitter this morning, so I can't really talk shit. But I mean, I'm dude. I'm on YouTube, bro. I'm the fucking glarer, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not Fox News, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you guys couldn't get anybody better than the TMZ guy to talk about this? Really? Okay.
Unanimous of an acquittal on this murder charge.
Hey, Andy, thanks for having me. Yeah, look, this is a massive development here. Obviously, we know, and this trial has
I hesitate to bring up OJ just because obviously that's something even 30 years later that is still grips the country. But this trial really, it did grip the country, Andy, and people outside of the courthouse celebrating when the mistrial came down. And there was a tremendous amount of interest in this case, bottom line. So we have now found out that through Reed's attorney, a guy named Alan Jackson, that on the second-degree murder charge and one of the other charges as well, that 3 jurors informed the defense that they were 12-0 unanimous, not guilty, when it came to Karen Reed's guilt or innocence. Now, there was a third charge that the jury was unable to reach a verdict on. As a matter of fact, it looked like they were going towards being guilty on that charge. Still wasn't unanimous, though. They deliberated for days after day, and finally, when they could not reach a verdict on all 3, the judge declares a mistrial. Now, right after the prosecution, Andy.
I mean, it was like 3 days, dude. Calm down, bro. Like, it wasn't like it was like this guy was like days after day. Relax, dude. It wasn't even like, it wasn't even that serious.
As we're going to retry this thing, no ifs, ands, or buts here. Alan Jackson, Karen Reed's attorney, is essentially saying, hey, look, you, the judge, you had a duty to inform us that the jurors reached a verdict, a not guilty verdict on 2 of these charges, including the most serious charge, the second-degree murder charge. And because of that, to retry Karen Reed would be tantamount to double jeopardy. And because of that, they are now hoping that the prosecution will not be able to recharge on those 2. And if they want to recharge on that third lesser charge, then so be it.
Yeah, is this more about the judge in that fact that they didn't necessarily come to a unanimous decision on all 3, but they could come to a decision on 2 of the 3, and they could have come forward and acquitted her on those as well? Is this maybe an indictment on the judge and what we were learning about in the legal process as a whole?
It certainly seems like that, and I fully understand that. This is the judge that's still presiding over this case, and to come out and to just attack the judge or throw the judge under the bus. I don't think that's what the tack that Karen Reed's people or her defense attorney wants to take here. But yeah, I mean, bottom line, and they've filed documents now with the court. They're saying, look, how could you not have told us that the jury had reached a verdict again on the most, the charge that's the most serious, the charge that carries decades and decades behind bars? How could you not tell us that the jury was 12-0 for not guilty, and they do believe wholeheartedly here that that verdict should have been allowed to stand. And again, if you want to recharge on that third charge that they could not come to an agreement on, then so be it. But 12-0 not guilty.
There's a dude with a YouTube channel right now, man. I wish I remembered what his name was. Oh man, I wish. Never mind. Sorry, guys. I just thinking out loud.
They would like that to stand.
Yeah, and the intent part would be that vehicular manslaughter charge that they potentially could retry, or certainly allowing it one of the 3 charges. And this was 5 days of deliberations. They were deadlocked as well. I do want to put up also this tweet as another development from this Boston area trial. As Massachusetts State Trooper, the lead investigator, Michael Proctor, suspended without pay during a duty status hearing today. How big of a development is that? And maybe how much does that kind of look at the credibility of this investigation as a whole? Because I think there were some murky lenses through that as well that we were getting a picture of it. How big of a development was that?
I think it's a massive development. This trooper was the guy who was in charge of this investigation, and he's immediately suspended after the mistrial is announced. And then today he goes in front of a commission made up of 3 officers, so 3 troopers. And like you said, Andy, suspended without pay. They take his gun, take the badge, they take it all. Now, he had made some really sort of gross comments, and I hope that Karen Reed kills herself, called her a whack job. That's just the start of it. This investigation, if you listen to the defense, I mean, it was a mess, from how the police at the start collected evidence to people who were talking.
Yo, my man, dude, how much have you guys heard me rant about how nobody talks about this shit, and they only talk about the ugly text messages that Proctor, like, already here I was shit talking TMZ, bro, and my man just came through, dude. My man just came through, dropping bombs, talking about shit that no other media has been talking about. I fucking love it. Totally, Scott McGinnis. 100%. Already, I like this dude. Already, just for that. Like, I'm willing to give TMZ some fucking props, because that is what needs to be talked about. I love it.
Or talk to people who weren't talked to. I mean, it really does paint a picture of this investigation just being so disorganized from the very start. And now, yes, the guy who oversaw it the fact that he is not even an acting police officer as we sit here and talk right now, I don't know how they retry this case, Andy, and I don't know how they ever get a conviction given what we know has gone on in this trial. I mean, it's hard to believe.
Yeah, some inappropriate comments there kind of led to this as well, and it's so very sad that we're talking about this as Boston police officer John O'Keefe lost his life tragically there back in January of 2002, and it's going to be potentially a circus again if they retry this case there in Massachusetts around a potential another vehicular manslaughter or beyond for this Karen retrial. All right, Michael, thank you again.
See, this dickhead, he's got an agenda, but the TMZ guy doesn't. The Fox News guy does. He's just got to throw that shit in there real quick. Let's not forget that these people made it a circus. Despite all that, just got to throw that in there before I cut you off and throw you off and end this segment. Bro.
I appreciate your time here on Live Now.
Anytime. Thank you, Andy.
All right, take care. All right.
I mean, my man, TMZ guy fucking hit it, dude. I love it. TMZ guy hit it. It's fantastic. Let's watch Channel 5's coverage here, because we all love Channel 5 and what they think of all this. This is always fun. This is always fun.
So former Massachusetts Attorney General and now of counsel at Foley Hoag, Martha Coakley, joins us. She's been following this case closely with us every step of the way.
That's right. She's joining us now. Thank you so much for being with us as always.
Hi, Jessica. Ben, how are you?
We're good. So David Bieg just explained this motion to dismiss some of the charges. So what are the chances that it'll even pass?
So I think they're low. I think that the judge will have to consider this. Obviously, we want defendants always to get a fair trial, but she has a lot of options here. She has to hear from the prosecution. She could have a hearing with jurors, but notice in this motion, there's no affidavit from a juror. It's all hearsay and more hearsay. So she has to determine if it even raises a question to do that. And don't forget, defense had opportunities at the trial to ask for that. This is often the case where there's multiple defendants and multiple charges, which we didn't have here. Defense didn't ask for it at the time. And
they know because they weren't given the opportunity. It's actually in the exact fucking motion that you're pointing out has all these flaws. It says so in the motion that Judge Beverly Cannoni did not give them the opportunity to do that, to argue this. They never had the chance. So open your fucking ears, lady.
the judge also had a chance to talk with jurors before she dismissed them. So it's up to her. It always is in these instances. I think they're trying to set the stage for what may come next. You can't blame them for that, as they are aggressive advocates for their client, Karen Reed.
So let's talk about that a little. So you're saying that, you know, the defense is asking, saying the judge should have polled the jury. The judge is able to do that in Massachusetts, correct? But I guess, is there a risk there? Is there a reason why they didn't ask for that at the time? If maybe some of these charges had come back and they were agreed on guilty versus not guilty?
Well, it's hard to know, but these are both experienced defense lawyers who'd figured out a strategy. And don't forget, the jury had come back a couple times before they got that blast charge, knowing there was going to be a deadlock. And so they could have asked for that, but they didn't. So this motion is a week late. It's a little bit of extraordinary help from the judge they're asking for. And don't forget, once juries either render a verdict or they are dismissed, the law favors not really interfering or going behind that unless there's a real reason that there may have been a miscarriage of justice here. So the judge has to look at it. She could wait until this goes up all on appeal, or she could miss it. They could have asked for that, but they didn't. So this motion is a week late. It's a little bit of extraordinary help from the judge they're asking for. And don't forget, once juries either render a verdict or they are dismissed, the law favors not really interfering or going behind that unless there's a real reason that there may have been a miscarriage of justice here. So the judge has to look at it. She could wait until this goes up all on appeal, or she could deal with it, perhaps by having counsel in and even perhaps considering whether she wants to talk to the jurors. But it won't be.
See, what she's not pointing out here, the one little detail that she's missing here is that Judge Beverly Cannoni is a big part of that miscarriage of justice. Excuse me. Judge Beverly Cannoni is a big part of that miscarriage of justice. That's the issue here. That's the big problem. Okay? Like, they were not given the opportunity to even argue this. The defense has been shut down every single time that they try to, I mean, they catch these little things that Judge Beverly Cannoni will try to act like just slide by. She just slid them by like that jury questionnaire that they were like, wait a second, something's wrong here. Like, it almost corners them into rendering a guilty verdict. So they addressed that. Judge Beverly Cannoni seemed a little more than pissed about it. You know, like what was she pissed about? Was she pissed about the fact that they pointed this out? Like her argument was like, this is how I've always seen them. Like, Judge, I'm not asking you whether this is something that you've always seen or not seen, or you're used to or not used to. I don't give a shit whether or not you've seen it or you're used to it or not. I'm saying it's confusing. It's flawed. There's something fucking wrong with it. It's not fair to my client. It's not fair to the defendant. It violates the defendant's right to a fair trial. So, I mean, you robbed other people of their rights using her rights as an excuse for it, saying that she has a right to a fair trial, so you can't have people wearing Free Karen Reed shirts out in front of the courthouse because it could influence the jury selection, and it's a problem. It could influence the jury. So what about Karen Reed's rights when it comes to, you know, how she's going to spend the rest of her life? The fate of her life. Where are her rights when that comes into play here? Because that's what this is. Where were her rights when they unanimously came to the decision that she was not guilty of murder too?
Be dismissed or ruled on as a result of these papers alone.
Okay, you know, take us inside the prosecution's head now when they hear that, you know, the defense is talking about, hey, dismissing some of these charges. How do you think this impacts them, and could this influence whether they drop any charges against her?
Sure, and I've said during the course of this that knowing where the jury was is helpful to both sides, right? So they may decide they don't want to retry the murder charge. They might have thought that anyway. It does look like some jurors were split on both sides of was it a motor vehicle homicide? That's a charge that would say she was responsible for the death and what that.
The fuck are you talking about, lady? Why would they bother? They're going to retry what? Reckless endangerment? They're going to retry that case? They're going to retry the lesser charge? What are you talking about? Why would they do that? You think that that just before an election that they're going to do that? That Michael Morrissey's office is going to I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. It would kind of surprise me. But the reason why the part of me that wouldn't be surprised by this is just because the fact that they even took this shit to trial with this lack of evidence in the first place is amazing to me already. You know, so like I can kind of see Morrissey's office being like, yeah, we're going to take this all the way. We're going to get her for whatever we can. Reckless endangerment, sure, we'll hold a trial and waste millions of dollars of taxpayer money over a trial on reckless endangerment, even though it was impossible for her to do that if there was no murder with the SUV, right? But we're gonna try that anyway. I mean, why is this lady talking like that's something she would do? Because fucking nobody would do that. Fucking nobody.
What that level was, but it gives both sides the opportunity to see, is this a case we want to talk about plea bargaining? Is this a case we want to try differently the next time we do it?
Mark, before you go quickly, I got to ask you, based on all that we now know and all that you now know about this case.
Hey, how's the hibernation in the cave that you just fucking crawled out of? I'm curious. Because it must be cozy. You must have been in there asleep for a long time. Because Karen Reed's not taking a fucking plea bargain, dude. There's no fucking way that at this point this lady is going to take a fucking plea bargain, bro. What are you talking about? That's not even a possibility. The words plea bargain shouldn't even come up in discussing this case. In just conversation about it. They shouldn't even come up. It's not even a thing. It's so not ever going to happen. Now, actually, now that I think about it, I could possibly see it. I'm not a lawyer, but I could possibly see them being like, hey, if we plead out that lesser charge, I can kind of see. I mean, only because I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. But because I'm not a lawyer, let me word it like that. Because I'm not a lawyer, I still see there's a possibility somewhere, considering, possible circumstances where Yannetti and Jackson will tell Karen Reed, listen, if you take a plea bargain on the lesser charge, it'll basically be like time served, and then it'll all be over. You know what I mean? Some stupid, crazy shit that got the West Memphis 3 out of jail. You know what I mean? Like, they had to kind of like take a guilty plea, but under the condition that they didn't admit to actually doing it. So it was like guilty, but we're not guilty. And they settled for that. The state of Texas settled for that. They were like, okay, well, how about if we get a guilty plea from them, but they don't have to say, they could still say that they didn't do it. Okay, whatever the fuck that means. If it means they get out of prison, sure, dude, whatever. So I'm willing to entertain that possibility that something like that might take place, where they're like, you know what, in order to just save Karen Reed a shit ton of fucking money, and she's been through enough, fine. Fine. As long as there's no jail time, no probation, no nothing, okay, sure. But I seriously doubt it that this has gone beyond plea deals. I think that this has become such an issue because part of the issue is if she takes any type of plea deal whatsoever, the McAlberts can use that to keep deflection off themselves. And the whole point, besides exonerating her because she didn't do it, part of the reason why the defense, I believe, have chosen a third-party culprit defense and not just a reasonable doubt defense, but a third-party culprit defense, is to make sure that there's still an option for John O'Keefe to still get justice. For the very people who are responsible for his death, the actual people responsible for his death, to still have to be held accountable in some way. That's partly what I believe Karen Reed is doing here by this third-party culprit defense, because the third-party culprit defense is a big leap. It's a hell of a move to make when there's nothing but reasonable doubt in this case, and they could have just gone the easy route and just gone the reasonable doubt defense, right? Here's the prosecution presenting their case, and here's us letting you know that the prosecution really doesn't have one, considering how the evidence was handled, considering the conflict of interests that have taken place here. Basically just putting all kinds of doubt. But they did this. The defense did this and then some. Not only did they create doubt, but they used the issues with the McAlberts, inconsistencies in their testimony, inconsistencies in their witness statements, and the way that Proctor conducted the investigation, on top of the fact that there's a connection between Proctor and the witnesses, a personal connection. So they killed two birds with one stone here. So I just don't see realistically them doing all that just for her to take a plea on any level whatsoever. Like I said, there might be a situation, where there's some sort of plea deal where she never does any time, never has to answer to anybody, not even so much as a fucking PO, nothing, right? Not even a fucking suspension of her license. She moves on with her life, but she's got a record. But I don't see the defense going through everything that they've gone through. Karen Reed and her family going through everything that they've gone through for her to take any type of plea deal. I just don't see it.
case, if you were the prosecuting DA, would you have brought that second-degree murder charge?
So at the time it was brought and before the grand jury, I think they had significant evidence, and they believe they did, to say that she was angry enough. She did this on purpose. I think as the case progressed, we saw that that was less and less likely that that's what a jury would find. But what the prosecution is looking for to find who killed John O'Keefe, regardless of what that level is. And so if they decided to drop that charge now, I think no one would think that was unwise of the prosecution to do that.
You would not be surprised. All right, Martha Coakley, thanks again for your time and expertise. We always appreciate it.
Have a great night.
Bunch of morons. This is just fucking wild, man. All right. Let's watch a little Plevin. He loves his little diagram here. This is really funny.
It's not indicated any information.
He talked about this.
What time that 3-point turn is to the GPS.
This jackass talked about this on Twitter. He posted, he was so proud of this little fucking choo-choo train timeline that he made. But it's retarded.
GPS or in the Waze. I don't know if that's in the data anyways, but it's not in any of the documents that I read. So let me just skip forward one part of this, because the part that I'll have to make this a little bit bigger. Now, I don't make fancy graphics.
No
like
shit.
Turtle Boy's cameraman, Richie, Microdots, talented guy, knows the truth, doesn't care. All right, this is the timeline. Okay, and none of this stuff.
What a fucking little bitch, dude. Like, what a little bitch. Now, I don't make fancy graphics. Not like Turtle Boy's Microdots. Talented guy, knows the truth, doesn't care. Dude, talented guy, knows the truth, cares, exposes the truth. Like, listen, Microdots, I'll tell you, Microdots is incredibly, incredibly insightful. The fact is that he has a talent besides having very, very, very intimate knowledge of this case and having a keen understanding for it and everything that's going on and having a beautiful way of explaining it. He also has a beautiful way of explaining it because he's capable of making these graphics and adding music and the narration. All of it is designed to get your attention, of course. But the point is what he's saying in the videos that matters. This is not the efforts of someone who doesn't care. This is the effort of somebody who sees corruption and is pointing it out. Posts receipts in a very, very creative way that gets your attention, compels you to watch and not take your eyes off of it, so that you walk away knowing exactly what the truth actually is. That is Microdots' talent. That is what separates Microdots from everyone else. Like, to hear this idiot with this, and like his disclaimer is going to make us go, that's okay, Plevin. That's okay. We know you're no Microdots. No, we know you're no Microdots because you're retarded. That's why we know you're no Microdots, because you fucking sit up here and not make any goddamn sense at all whatsoever. That's the difference. Like, thank you, Microdots. That's the difference, Like microdots isn't just look over here with my glitz and glamour and you know, base your opinion on being dazzled by being dazzled. No, that's not what microdots does. Microdots gets your attention by dazzling you, and then you're locked in and forced to hear the truth because he shows receipt after receipt after receipt with, yes, Plevin, impressive graphics. Yes. You're not dismissed because of your lack of ability to make good graphics. You're dismissed because you're retarded. That's it. There's no other way around that.
This is all perfectly accurate. I carefully researched it. I'm going to explain to you exactly what is indicated by the evidence and what isn't. And I'm always going to be honest with you. So if there's something that, or if there's some part of this where I'm speculating, I'll tell you that. If there's something that the defense challenged, I'll tell you that. Okay. So around 12:12, that's when Karen and John leave the waterfall. At 12:20 and 8 seconds. Just make sure you guys can see that on the screen. Yeah, you can see it. Okay. 12:20 and 8 seconds. That's when John, I think they're on Dedham Street at that point. They're driving in the direction, but they had never been to 34 Fairview. And so John was talking to Jen McCabe on the phone, and she gave him the address. So John he opens up his Waze and he types in 34 Fairview. Now, these timelines are very important, so please watch them. So 12:20 and 8 seconds. All right. Now, there's multiple data streams here that we're working at. But so we're looking at John's Waze data. So that comes off John's phone, the GPS data that comes off John's phone.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at the vehicle data.
I'm not making some fucking choo-choo train diagram like this, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna read shit. Like, that's it. I'm gonna read shit. This is just all to impress people that like, you know, would be impressed by watching a monkey jerk off and flick it into a fucking crowd of children. Like, that's the kind of shit that impresses the kind of people that watch him for insight. like, I wonder if I give this monkey a banana, can he stick it up his ass while I'm here at the zoo? I want my money's worth at the zoo. Can I watch this monkey stick this banana up its ass? I hear stories about monkeys masturbating. Am I going to get to see one?
That was found on Karen's SUV. And then finally, we'll get to John's health app data. So at 12:23 and 46 seconds, and I'm going to after I show this, I'm going to bring up the map too, to show you guys the map with these streets, because that's going to be also important as we go over the potential routes that you took home. And this is important to possibly identifying things like second degree. And we're going to get into all that. So at 12:23 and 46 seconds, pay attention to that 46 seconds. They drove by Fairview. They missed the turn. Okay, they're on
exactly,
and they go by.
I put words in bubbles and I make it look like a choo-choo train. Yeah.
Now, this is in red here because this is a data point that is registered.
I wonder if I take a turd and I rub it all over my head, will it grow hair like a chia pet? Will I grow hair if I take my turd and rub it on my head? I'm just going to take a turd and rub it on my head, and then I'm going to put these words on bubbles and make a choo-choo train while I wait for my hair to grow back.
By the vehicle data. So when they go by Fairview, we know that from the GPS and from the Waze. All right, so Waze would have said you've missed your turn. And so that's in the evidence. Vehicle data does not have a timestamp. The vehicle data has it has a ticking, so it's measured in key cycles. So every time you start your car and you take a trip, and then when you end the trip and you turn the ignition off, that's a key cycle. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's essentially it. And it does record the length of that in seconds. I think it's in half seconds actually, but it does. So we know the length of your trip, whether it's 2 minutes or 3 hours, whatever. We know the length of it. So we don't know the time of that 3-point turn on that key cycle. We also don't know, because it's not indicated any information that has been made public, what time that 3-point turn shows on the GPS. Or in the Waze. I don't know if that's in the data anyways, but it's not in the documents.
I don't care.
So let me just skip forward one part of this, because the part that is shown. So she does a 3-point turn to correct for the missed turn. And then she turns around. Now she comes back to Fairview, and instead of taking a left because she's coming from the opposite direction, she's going to take a right. And Ryan Nagel, the truck that he's in, that's driven by Ricky D'Antonio, comes from the other side. And because Karen has the right of way, they let Karen go. So that time again, important. The seconds matter here. They matter a lot. 12, 24, and 18 seconds. Okay, so that shows up. That's from John's GPS and from his Waze. Now, so let's just go back to this one right before this. So what time was the 3-point turn? Well, it was somewhere between 12:23 and 46 and 12:24 and 18 seconds. So I think that's 32 seconds, right? So it's somewhere in the middle of that 32-second period. We don't know to the exact second, but we know it's somewhere in the middle. So if you look in the middle, that's really very close to exactly 12:24. So I think it's reasonable to say.
See, there's a lot of words here, folks. A lot of words that Plevin's saying. A lot of words to explain the time in which he believes that Karen Reed struck John O'Keefe with the back of her Lexus SUV. And it all happened between 12:23 and 12:24 when she made a 3-point turn. And now he's kind of implying that it was an accident, which is really funny. I mean, there was all this talk of motive this whole time and blah, 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 blah. But now, according to Plevin, it might have been an accident. This is the timeline. This is when it happened. This word salad is a whole lot of fun, Plevin. It really is. But this timeline means absolute shit because the way you have it set up here makes it fucking impossible that nobody saw John's body laying in that lawn. Fucking impossible. There's no way. There's no way that nobody saw John O'Keefe laying in that front lawn. Couldn't have happened. Couldn't have happened. Doesn't matter. I mean, I don't give a fuck what timeline, choo-choo train, fucking bullshit you put together. It does not explain why no one saw John O'Keefe laying in the front lawn of 34 Fairview that entire time. The only person who came close to it was Julie Liar-Nagel, who said she thought she saw a blob for the first time during trial, not during fucking grand jury testimony, not during any statements. Never mentions it. Never mentions it once. And then now, she might have seen a blob, a black blob, laying in the lawn. Plevin. Nobody saw John O'Keefe laying in the snow. Nobody did. Nobody did. Two independent experts who you refuse to acknowledge their credibility. Two independent, very qualified experts concluded that Karen Reed never hit John O'Keefe with her SUV, that John O'Keefe was never even struck by an SUV. His injuries are inconsistent with it. His injuries are inconsistent with someone who has been hit by a vehicle. It's just simple. It's done. That's it. That's it. That, along with the fact that nobody saw Boston police officer John O'Keefe laying in the lawn of 34 Fairview Road on the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022. Nobody saw that. Along with the fact that this investigation was conducted in the poorest manner possible. Along with the fact that there's no physical evidence that connects Karen Reed to this crime that isn't completely and totally suspicious in the manner of which it was recovered or in the manner of which it was documented or lack of documentation or in the manner of which it was held and the way that it was handled. The chain of custody. Like, none of the evidence is solid. There's nothing to indicate that Karen Reed did this. There's absolutely nothing. Other than the fact that she had been drinking. And other than the fact that she was yelling and screaming, calling him a pervert on voicemail, and that she didn't take her shoes off when she went into John's house. I mean, think about that, bro. Clever, dude. Yeah, y'all hear that? That's Clever drinking water, bro. Clever, bro. You sound like two really robust people fucking having oil sex when you drink that water, bro. It's gross. Like there's nothing, dude.
To say that Karen made that 3-point turn at 12:24 and 00 seconds, but understanding that there's a margin of error, so it could be 5 to 10 seconds before that, or 5 to 10 seconds after that. And you see why we don't have the exact thing. All right, so they make the right-hand turn onto Fairview, and the truck that Ryan Nagel is in makes the turn right after that, following them. So you can see there, that's 12:24 and 18 seconds. So at 12:24 and 40 seconds, we see from the GPS and the Waze that the position of John's phone is already at the edge of the property. So she's got at the 18-second mark, they take the turn. Maybe it takes whatever 4, 5, 6 seconds before they arrive in front of 34 Fairview, but they're not there long at all.
Thanks, Grandmaster Sofos.
They're there by 12:24.
Appreciate you, buddy.
So really, it's not like they pulled up and sat, say in front of the mailbox. It's not like they sat there for a minute. It was less than that. It was only seconds, and then they pulled forward. Now that GPS position, 12:24 and 40 seconds. That's exactly where. So the position has a margin of error that's going to vary depending on signal strength, but the basic margin of error, if you're getting good signal, is usually 15 feet. So John's phone was found within that 15-foot radius of where they last stopped. So this is the last position of John's phone. It's already reached there by 12:24 and 40 seconds. That doesn't mean he got out of the car at that time. So if he gets out of the car and doesn't walk more than a few feet and he gets hit, it's going to show the same position because he's still within that 15-foot margin of error. And there must have been a little bit of movement, though, in terms of that position. So the very last GPS position is recorded at 12:25 and 36 seconds. But they're already at the edge of the property, and he's found at the edge of the property. So this was very minor movement that was found there. Now, I got this in red. This is the key. This is the vehicle data that shows Karen's SUV. It pulls forward for a few seconds. And then suddenly goes into reverse, goes backwards 62 feet. The accelerator is depressed 75%, and it reaches 24 miles per hour, and it strikes a pedestrian-sized object. Now, what I want you to note is the time here, okay? Now, I haven't listed the time of that.
I know, like,
very, very close
this
to where it is.
dude is killing me, bro.
All right, so the vehicle data shows that this second incident that was triggered to create an event within the data stream was 8 minutes and 4 seconds after the 3-point turn. Now, I think actually it's because the way that we'll talk a little bit, let's talk for a moment about the way this vehicle data works. So you're in your car, you have this vehicle data, the EDR, and these streams are coming in from your brakes, your steering wheel, the sensors, all kinds of stuff. And it's running continuously, but it's not recording. It's only recording a small period, and it doesn't even actually keep that as a recording. So what happens is there are algorithms in there within the chips that are processing this information coming in, and if it senses something that the algorithms have told it to say, whoa, there's an event there, that's called a trigger. So if something triggers an event, what it does is it takes a snapshot from 5 seconds before that event and 5 seconds after that event. So a normal 3-point turn
Let's see what this mystery's
would not trigger, obviously a collision. So if you get in a car accident, if you drive into the telephone pole, a major collision like that, that's going to record an event. Here, there was no collision that caused an event to be recorded. There was no collision that triggered an event. However, you have at the 3-point turn, the nature of that turn did trigger an event. And Trooper Paul explained that that's because during that 3-point turn, when she had the car in reverse, she put the accelerator down over 30%. And so the algorithm says, okay, more than 30% in reverse, that's enough to trigger an event. So it creates an event on that 3-point turn. Well, so the next event, now most key cycles will have no events on it. It has to take something a little bit unusual to happen. So the vast majority of key cycles on your car will not have any triggering event. But something unusual has to happen like this, that the algorithm results in the triggering of an event. So we don't know the exact, as I said, going back, we don't know the exact time of that 3-point turn, but it's within 32 seconds of what I told you before. So, as we said, that is about 12:24 and 0 seconds. It's about exactly 12:24. Now, it might be 5 to maybe even 10 seconds before or after that, but it's very close to that. And I would say the margin of error might be 5 seconds before or 5 seconds after.
Whoa.
It's a really good.
You didn't mention the big margin of error there, bro.
Of when they turned around. It took 30 seconds. It took 32 seconds for Karen to drive by Fairview and to do a 3-point turn and come back. That took 32 seconds. So if you put that 3-point turn in the middle of that journey, that part of it, of the journey, then that puts it at exactly 12:24, 0 seconds. So 8 minutes and 4 seconds after that, there's another event that's triggered. Now, again, because as I'm saying, the triggering works where when an event is triggered, it takes a snapshot going back 5 seconds and forward 5 seconds. So really, the event probably happens. Oh shit! I'm sorry. It doesn't seem to have happened.
All right, yeah, man. Like, shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of here. Jesus, man. Just pure fucking stupidity, dude. People are just dying to, like, for some dickhead to crack. Like, it's just that guy has a fucking chat full of people that are just, like, just dying for some jackass to crack the Karen Reed case because Karen Reed did it. But she didn't, dude. Like, there's just nothing. Dude, there was a trial already, bro. Like, do you understand? Like, this trial had already taken place. It's over. It's done. This trial is over. There's no fucking way that any jury, like, if this case gets retried, all it is just a big waste of fucking money and time, because it's the same thing. At worst, the same thing is going to happen again. The worst case scenario is that same thing happen again. Best case scenario, she gets acquitted. Best case scenario, the case gets dismissed and that's it. It's over. But, I mean, I guess we're just going to have to wait for the fucking Commonwealth to just fucking get tired of their stupid little game here. This is ridiculous. This is the craziest shit in the world. The whole reason everyone's talking about it right now is because they're going, what is with this crazy shit that I'm seeing every fucking every day about this case? That's what people are doing. The reason why people are watching is because they can't fucking believe what they're looking at. Because it's insane that this woman is even on trial for this. Wake up. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys for everything. Thanks for just hanging out with me. I just wanted to hang out with you guys. I just felt like hanging out. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I had a good time. But yeah, you guys are the best. So make sure to hit the like if you enjoyed yourselves. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And a big thank you to everybody for all the support. It means all the world to me. It really does. I am not worthy. You guys are amazing. But guys, I love you very, very, very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.